Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into a Thursday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell as we have a party on a Thursday. Ooh, I am still not 100%, as you can hear. The comments section is live, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Leave us a comment brought to you by Boardman Mitsubishi. We'd love to hear from our wonderful fans. Also, the fan line is open as well. 330-886. Oh, man. 0813. Welcome to Thursday. Ty, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, Anthony. How are you doing today?
We're doing good. Back to your own personal little study room, I see.
Yeah, for today at least. Should be back to normalcy tomorrow. We'll have to see what's going on, but I think the plan right now is to be in studio. So,
oh, we love having you in studio, Ty. So we can't wait. Got some results from last night's competitions to get to with. And first, we start with some volleyball. Western Reserve stays undefeated. They beat Heartland Christian last night in straight sets, but when you look at straight sets, very competitive 3 sets. The final scores 25-20, 25-22, 25-20. So the Lions definitely put up a big fight, but Western Reserve too much for them, and they end up with the sweep to stay undefeated. Gianna Paris double-double for the Blue Devils, 16 assists, 10 digs for her. She also had 6 kills on the night. Lisa Eichert led the offense with 10 kills for the Blue Devils. Also, she had 7 digs, 4 aces. Angelina Capabianca, 12 digs, 4 kills for her. On the Lions side, Emma Hall led the Lions attack with 10 kills, 18 digs as well, so she got a double-double. We are seeing more and more double-doubles as the season goes on. It feels like every day we're talking about, hey, this person, double-double, double-double here, double-double here. It's remarkable to see how good the volleyball is right now in our area. Jaden Scheller got the sets for the Lions, 11 assists for her, and Lauren Miesic finished with 7 kills. So you look at that match, Lions put up a big fight. Western Reserve stays undefeated, and they're still one of the few undefeated teams remaining in the area when you talk about volleyball.
yeah, I've been one of those powerhouses that continues to be a powerhouse as the Blue Devils continue to roll.
Yeah, they continue their stretch of 3 matches in 3 days tonight as they host Springfield. Heartland, they need to bounce back. They have that independent schedule, so they play on Saturday. They travel to United. Western Reserve still looking strong, and they have their 3rd match in 3 days tonight, and it doesn't get any easier with the Springfield squad that we've seen start to put some pieces together.
Yeah, and it's a Springfield squad that I think will be just fine as the season keeps on progressing. They're going to figure some things out, and I think they'll be fine.
Very interesting matchup there tonight. We want to give a congratulations to Niles senior Logan Lewis. She earned her 1,000th career dig. We had her on the program not too long ago. Niles gets the sweep of Warren Harding. The scores there 25-14, 25-7, 25-7. Niles missed a couple games due to a COVID protocol. So they get back to action. They sweep the Raiders very handedly. Elena Thigpen led their offense, 6 kills for her. But, you look at that, 6 kills, that's a low lead. That's because 7 different Niles Dragons got a kill in the match. So a very balanced offense for Niles against Warren Harding. Oh, you muted yourself, bud.
I said, yeah, Niles is playing as a solid unit over there, and it's part of the reason what's making them so successful.
Yeah, and Logan Lewis, her final stat line of the night was 5 kills, 9 aces, 8 digs. And those 8 digs once again helped propel her to 1,000 in her career. Jenna Melius led the team in assists with 15. She had a double-double. Shocker, another double-double on the night and by getting 13 digs. That led the team. So she led the team in assists and digs. Impressive night for Melius. The Dragons get back to the NE8 schedule tonight. They travel to Poland. Very interesting matchup between the Dragons and the Bulldogs. 2 teams looking to get into the upper tier of that NE8 volleyball realm.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be fun going to the season as we get into September, late September, and October as playoffs start to loom closer. You see these teams start to figure things out. A lot more competitive matches coming up.
Yeah, and we're starting to see the level of volleyball just skyrocket. Is like I said, doubles galore in these volleyball recaps. We have a soccer score to report. The Hubbard girls team got a big victory over Lordstown last night. 6-2 was the final score, and they got a big night from Marissa Chewy. Hat trick for her, 3 goals on the night, and she also had 2 assists. Ashley Mariano had 2 goals, and then Kenna Raynard also found the back of the net. So big night for Marissa Chewy for the Eagles. 3 goals and 2 assists. Hubbard gets back to action on Saturday. They travel to Ursuline. That'll be a fun soccer match. We know what Ursuline girls are bringing to the table this year. And obviously, Hubbard's starting to put some things together. They're going to have to travel to Ursuline and play at YSU in that Saturday match.
Yeah, it'll be a fun match, too. See what the Irish are going to present and get out there and watch a soccer match at YSU.
Get out there. Yeah, like we always promote the ability to go out and support these athletes. Got some news that's not so good, for Crestview Volleyball. We were highly anticipating their match tonight with Garrettsville Garfield, but unfortunately that match has been canceled due to COVID protocols in Crestview's program. So we don't know how long Crestview will be down, but they're definitely down tonight. No game in Garrettsville Garfield, so we are robbed of that matchup of undefeated teams.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. COVID takes another matchup away from us as one that I'm sure a lot of people were excited for, but it's just another one of those things. You're just going to have to move on.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for one of the best volleyball programs in the area to be dealing with that, but it's they're not alone. There are definitely a lot of teams that either are dealing with a COVID thing or walking on eggshells trying to not have to deal with the COVID thing. It's still very apparent in our world and apparent in the sports realm. We've been shown the reality of that the first 3 weeks of high school sports in the area.
Yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate COVID keeps rearing its ugly head and robbing us of matchups, but yet again, it strikes again.
Strikes again indeed. But nonetheless, we will carry on. We are also told that will not affect Crestview's football team. So no cancellations for their football game tomorrow night. Want to preview the show as we have two guests joining us today. Brandon Hanna of Jefferson football, the head coach of the 3-0 Falcons, will be joining us at 12:30, which take a look at the clock coming up pretty soon. So don't miss that. Also, we have Brian Shaner, head coach of the Middle Ridge Rams, who are on a 2-game winning streak after dropping that first one to Pymatuning Valley. Middle Ridge looking very strong. Look forward to talking to both of those head coaches as the show goes on.
Yeah, looking real forward to talking with Coach Hanna. Got a chance to talk with him a little bit this past Friday out at Jefferson, so excited to be able to talk with him a little bit more in depth today.
And since we are going to talk to him, let's go ahead and preview their matchup this week as we look at the Thursday slate of Running Point. Today we're going to be diving in depth for week 4 and get you ready for Friday's picks. You look at tomorrow, Jefferson. They are going to be. Is it? Yeah, they no. I'm looking. Do you know who Jefferson has this week?
They open it up with Gerard. They open up any schedule play with Gerard. Yeah.
I see it.
Yep.
It's a lot of games, and it's easy to get lost in there. Jefferson at Gerard. So let's preview this game and talk about the 3-0 Falcons going up against a very high-powered Gerard offense. You saw the defense firsthand. Do you think Jefferson has a chance to kind of slow down the speed of the Indians?
I think they do because they have a lot of young guys on defense, a lot of two-way players. You got 2 defensive backs, and your quarterback, Grant Hitchcock, and then your return man and wide receiver and Trent Hodge both play defensive back, both of which have really good speed and both hold down the secondary very well. Blaze Blankenship's another one that's in the defensive back category. Those are a trio of juniors that do absolutely phenomenal for Jefferson, as well as Brett Dietrich at the defensive line, Wade Woodworth at linebacker, Cole Polowski at linebacker is one of the lone seniors on this team. It's a team full of a lot of juniors, so that's what makes things so much more exciting for Jefferson. They're returning pretty much a majority of this team next year as well, but it's a defense that has good pieces at all fronts, and it's if the defensive line and linebackers are coming around like they have been, the defensive backs can really maintain the secondary, and it makes it a nightmare to pass on them.
And, a nightmare to pass on them indeed. And you look at Gerard, they're going to look to try to test that because they love to throw the ball and they love to use their speed and athleticism to kind of get their playmakers in space. What do you think some of the schemes for Gerard's offense are going to look like this week against that defense?
I mean, you're looking at what they have as far as their whole line, offensive line. I mean, you got Nassim Lloyd at O-line. You got Dean DeCiano or Decancino or Cio, I think, on offensive line. Nick Bengal is another one of those. I mean, Tristan Valley is playing quarterback. He's doing a pretty darn good job at that as well. Don Melito, another one of those guys. That's a really good wide receiver. Preston Mays, another one. It's part of a very good passing offense for Gerard. It's all about really if Tristan Valley is able to keep plays alive to the last second, because we already know Jefferson's going to be with their receivers, and it's up to guys like Don Melito, like guys like Preston Mays to get opening coverage. And maybe it's not always the big plays and the big chunk plays you need to get if against this Jefferson team. Maybe just trying to move the chains and get first downs is going to be the way to go opening up conference play.
We talked about it. I mean, with Tristan Valley's ability to escape and his ability to kind of improvise, that means this Jefferson secondary might have to stay on these receivers for 5, 6, 7 seconds while they try to contain Tristan Valley. It's going to be a tough task with the athleticism back there in the receivers room.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? Gerard's one of those teams, though, that they've been known for making big chunk plays. So maybe it be more of a focus on just having possession be up. And we know week one against Streetsboro is one where we keep going to, but it's one where Gerard was able to get that quick strikeability offense. But imagine if they had extended those drives a little bit more when they did have those leads against Streetsboro and left Streetsboro with not enough time. Problem is with doing those big chunk plays, you need to have a good defense that is able to hold them. And the problem is Jefferson has a really good offense that is also known for making big chunk plays. And if you're Gerard, unfortunately, I don't see Gerard if they get into a shootout where it's chunk play after chunk play from both teams. I don't think they beat the Falcons that way. I think their defense is going to really need to make sure Jefferson is taking long drives on the field. But I think also on the other side, their offense needs to be patient and have a patient approach, because if you go into big chunk plays, you also risk turning the ball over, which Jefferson loves to get after, as they're kings at creating turnovers.
You brought it up, and the next point is the Falcons' ability to create turnovers and what that has meant for their defense this year. You saw them firsthand. Talk about some of the mentality and what goes into that defense's ability to just find the ball and create takeaways.
I mean, they do a great job, and they're also very disciplined. They're not one that gets penalized a whole lot, other than we saw a little bit of a streak where both teams in that Cottonwood game were getting penalized. But I think, Jefferson in that last game, coming up against Edgewood and getting that big victory over their rivals in that Hoagley Cup. I mean, what I saw in that one was just a defense that bent at some points but never broke. I mean, Edgewood was able to go down and get that first score, initially drive it up 7-0, but ever since then, the Jefferson Falcons never looked back from that point, as defense played lockdown, as Edgewood was having trouble getting on the other side of the field. And when they were, it was either a mental mistake that sent them back because of a penalty, or Jefferson was able to get a sack, able to get a turnover, create it with either a fumble or an interception. And I mean, just the culmination of all that, I mean, doing a great job just playing defense. And really, Edgewood didn't have a whole lot in the passing game. They tried to run it a few times too, and that's kind of what they turned to. But once they just started turning to the run and kind of shied away from the pass, they became easy to scout on defense. And Jefferson just took advantage and filled the holes going forward.
It's going to be real interesting, and we're going to talk to Coach Hannah a little bit more about this. You start 3-0, that's great. You pat yourselves on your back. It's been a great start for Jefferson. But now you get into the meat of the schedule against this really tough conference. I'm going to ask you, because once again, you got to see them firsthand. I mean, how seriously should the NE8 be taking Jefferson right now? A team that's coming in really hot in the league play and looking very hungry to try to compete in this league.
I mean, it's a program that's completely bought into what Coach Hannah has to offer, and I think that's dangerous for any team that has the whole backing of the players, backing the coach's mindset, the coach's culture, the coach's mentality. And I think that's what we're seeing. And the other dangerous thing is this is a group full of a lot of juniors and a lot of guys that are going to be returning next year. But even the kids know that this year's different. And you heard that on the field, too, after the win against Edgewood, where they were all saying this win is different and telling, Coach, how much they love him and they love what he's done for this program. And, when you have kids that buy in, and it becomes a little bit more than football, it becomes dangerous for any team. And that's not just in the NE8, that's in all of Division 5, because this is a team that both offensively and defensively is dynamic and has some tremendous speed at both areas of the field, offensively, defensively, but also special teams. And it really makes them a three-headed dragon that's hard to make up and compete against, because they can also score on the special teams, as we already saw. Trent Hodge was able to do so. So having that type of speed, having a quarterback like Grant Hitchcock that keeps plays alive until the very last second, as we see, avoids sacks tremendously, avoids turnovers tremendously, has incredible accuracy as just a junior quarterback too. Another one of those juniors that we've been able to see in the area that are hyper talented and are able to do things that are just incredible too, compared to like the 80s and 90s standard of football, where a lot of teams were just ground and pound. We're seeing it kind of transition to a lot more of a passing type of league, even in the high school level. And, Grant Hitchcock's no exception to that. And I think with him paired with the fact that you have speed burners, such as guys like Hodge, paired with the fact that you got all kinds of backs too there that in speed wise there. I think this is a Jefferson offense that is dynamic. A lot of the guys play two-way, so they're on defense as well, and I think that helps them even more on offense, trying to figure out how players are going to react to them. And I think having that two-way mindset has overall improved their entire football IQ, and I think that's what you're seeing on the Jefferson football squad is a bunch of guys that are smart players on the football field.
And we've talked about, Gerard's offense and Jefferson's defense. Let's flip the script and talk about this Jefferson offense against this Gerard defense. A defense in Gerard that gave up quite a bit in week 1, but then found a little bit of groove and really played well in week 3 against Ellet. What kind of things do you think Gerard's defense has to do to slow down Jefferson's offense? I think these offenses are pretty similar in the way they like to use their athleticism, spread the ball around, and get the ball to their playmakers in space.
Yeah, but Gerard, it's going to come down to, what they lost last year is unfortunate, but what they have this year is a strong defensive backcourt, strong secondary, and a strong linebacking core. Because of course you got Tristan Valley that plays linebacker, you have Jack Doy that plays linebacker, you have Nick Bengala that plays defensive back. You have Preston Mays that's a defensive back, Don Melito that's a defensive back. So you got really 3 solid defensive backs, all of which that are juniors, I believe, with the exception of Melito, and you got a couple of junior linebackers as well. I think it's going to really help too because both the junior linebackers are really good against the pass, so you might have to see Jefferson try to adjust to that a little bit more, and you might see Jefferson running the ball a little bit more. But the linebacker play of Gerard is really going to be the dynamic. If these guys, both Jack Doy and as well as who's the other one I just lost? Oh, Tristan Valley. Tristan Valley, who also is your quarterback. But if Tristan Valley and Jack Doy, your linebackers, are able to make those adjustments, read the offense as well, drop back in coverage when they need to against the pass, or come up and fill those holes on defense against runs, they're really going to be the X factors because, defensive back-wise, I think these matchups are going to be pretty even. Defensive backs, wide receivers, I think Jefferson's going to beat some of their defensive backs sometimes, and I think sometimes the defensive backs are going to get the better of Jefferson's receivers. But the point is, Grant Hitchcock is a master at creating time and buying time for his team. And that offensive line does a phenomenal job over there in Jefferson in protecting Hitchcock until the very last second. So if you give him too much time in the pocket, and God forbid he breaks out of the pocket and uses his legs or has a clearer look down the field, then you're in trouble. So I think it's going to be up to not only Gerard's defense to try to keep Hitchcock in the pocket, but I think it's going to be highlighting those 2 linebackers again, in Tristan Valley as well as Jack Doy, to really be the X factors on defense. And they're going to be the guys that I'm going to be looking to because they're going to be the ones that can either drop back and be those extra guys in pass coverage, or they're going to have to come up and fill those holes on defense to stop the run. But either or, I think it's going to start and end with them against this Jefferson offense.
Yeah, and I think not enough people are talking about Grant Hitchcock. What strides from last year to this year? we saw last year he definitely was a playmaker. He definitely was a threat, but maybe his accuracy and his football IQ, I guess you want to call it, the strides he's made in those 2 categories so far in the first 3 weeks of the season, huge strides. Maybe the most improved player in the YSN family of networks.
Yeah, but this is a guy too that you got to remember. This was a team, Jefferson, that had Danny Bruckman last year, who was a very, very talented runner. So they were mostly using him and utilizing him on the ground a lot. And Bruckman, as talented as he was, he took some of those snaps and some of those touches away from Hitchcock. And so Hitchcock really didn't get as many looks as he's getting this season. And I think that's because Coach Hanna has taken over this season. After being offensive coordinator last year, I think he saw that, and he saw that he needed to get him more touches. And I think the fact that Hitchcock's got more touches has been absolutely huge. And it doesn't seem like they lost that second team all conference guy in Bruckman, who had, I think, well over 4,000 yards, I think just under 1,500 last year, and had hit the end zone, I think, upwards of 15, I think even in the 20. I think it might have been 20 touchdowns last year for Bruckman as well. So you're looking at losing that, but they have 3 guys too in the back that are still very good. We know Wade Woodworth, but also Funtash that I was talking about, having having a kind of back by committee. We saw Funtash usually getting a majority of the carries, though, for Jefferson, and he's a solid runner in of his own right, as he had over 130 plus yards in that Edgewood game. So you're going to have to watch out for that as well. But I think, honestly, the fact that, Bruckman, as talented as he was, and it is a loss, obviously, for Jefferson, I think that's definitely helped the progression of Grant Hitchcock this season.
And, you said, I think it might come down to Jefferson's run game as much as we're talking about their ability to sling the ball around and their ability to find athletes in open space. They're still a team that likes to pride themselves in establishing the run. That might be big against a very good Gerard offense on the other side, keeping the ball control and keeping that time of possession in their favor.
Yeah, and Luke Funtash is a tremendous runner, but what Edgewood did really well was the runs up the middle and the inside zone runs and the inside runs, the draws that were really not having a lot of success against Edgewood's defense. It was a lot of those outside zone runs. If he can get outside of the pocket and outside of the line, if he can get to the edges of the field, it's almost over after that point. So I think, again, it goes right back to Gerard's defense. In the same way that you have to keep Hitchcock in the pocket, you have to make sure that line contains and tries to keep Funtash contained, because if he gets on the edges of your line, it really is going to matter about those defensive ends. It's your job to make sure he doesn't get past you, because if he does, you're in trouble over there in Gerard and Jack Doy and Tristan Valley. It's going to come down to those guys, because if he gets past that second line of defense, not many defensive backs are stopping Funtash after he gets past that second line.
Very exciting matchup between 3-0 Jefferson and 2-1 Gerard. CJ will have the call on that one, and it will be on ysnlive.com tomorrow night. We're going to take a quick break, and on the other end, we will talk to Brandon Hanna, head coach of the Jefferson Falcons. Don't go anywhere on ysnlive.com. Running Point brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the four words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
When looking for home design inspiration, don't just be inspired, be Baird inspired. Whether new or remodeling, Baird Brothers has the latest trends like shiplap to refresh your home. Go from inspiration to installation with our wide selection of in-stock American hardwoods. From the rustic charm of antique oak to the warmth of traditional cherry, Baird Brothers has what you need to make your home inspiring. Baird Brothers, our family's heritage, your family's home.
For a great vehicle and a great experience, come to Boardman Mitsubishi today. As always, our full lineup of Mitsubishi models comes with a standard 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Boardman Mitsubishi, your hometown Mitsubishi dealer since 1999.
Coca's Pizza, always supporting our community and our local athletes. Stop in on game day or score big and have it delivered right to your door. Check out our daily specials at cocaspizza.com. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
At Hubbard Chevrolet, Hubbard can help you get the financing you need regardless of your situation. I'm Tony Page, and I've helped thousands of customers in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania buy a vehicle. Visit HubbardChevy.com to get pre-approved. Remember, folks, Hubbard can help.
You're not waiting to see what the world has in store for you. It's more about what you have in store for the world. All you need is the opportunity. All you need are the resources of a large university and the advantages of a personalized academic setting where you can experience new worlds in the arts and sciences, business, and education and make them your own. We are where you shape your future. We are Youngstown State University and proud.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of Running Point, live on YSNLive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig joined by Ty Bartell. And on the show today, Brandon Hanna, head coach of the Jefferson Falcon football team. Coach, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet. We've been wanting to have you for a while. You've brought some rejuvenation to this Jefferson football program, 3-0 on the year, 3 wins all season last year. What kind of has gone into this great start that you guys are on and the rejuvenation of the program?
Sure. Well, I mean, I got to give credit to Ed Rankin, was the head coach here for the past few years. A great mentor of mine, great friend of mine, pretty much like a big brother to me. So, I think he was doing a great job of, doing, I think the most important part of, what we're continuing right now is just developing the relationship with these kids. So definitely credit to him. But, this year's been special so far. From the moment, I got hired, these kids have, they've bought in to a new head coach. We wanted to change a lot of things. We didn't want to, we wanted a new look, a new image, a new identity. And, everything we do, we try to do a little different and, create our own new Jefferson football. But it's just a great group of kids. We've had great support from administration. And, man, I'm just blessed to be sitting in this chair and, being in the position I'm in.
Talk about wanting to change that culture there, Coach, and you talk about wanting that new image, that new Jefferson. So tell me a little bit about when teams do see that Jefferson logo coming their way and when they do see that they have to play the Falcons, what do you want them to immediately think when they have Jefferson on the docket?
Sure. I guess, for the kids' sake, the biggest thing is just, we talk about respect a lot. We love each other in our locker room, have a great relationship with the kids and coaches, but outside of this place, nobody really knows what's going on, in there. And it's not something we tend to talk about. Respect is something that's earned. So I understand when you hear when it's a surprise to a lot of people that we're able to compete now and we have a few wins on the record. I understand it's early in the season, a lot of season left, a lot of life left for sure. But, I think when you see us, we're just trying to earn respect right now. The history's not so great here, but we don't talk a lot about that either. We show up. I think we're a very focused team. From Monday through Friday, until the clock says 0.00, and it's just like I said, it's a hard-working, focused group of kids.
we got to recap last week's win over Edgewood. I know it's a big win for the program, big rivalry win, and it stamped a 3-0 mark in non-conference play. Just kind of now that you've had time to take in the film and really see what your guys did so well, what do you think were some of the keys to that victory over Edgewood?
I think the preparation, a lot goes into it, obviously, like everywhere else, but it was big for the kids. Here we're in Ashtabula County, so when you play a county school who has, the all-time leading passer, at quarterback, and you play a kid who, everyone, talks about being the best receiver in the county, and you play a big 55 they had was, arguably the best lineman in this county as well. We learn to get excited about those kind of things, and our kids right now, they're out to prove something. So there's a lot of talk, and we have a little 4-4 and Gold talk show here, and the kids they hear it, they see it, and I just like that there's a certain swagger about our kids right now, and they rose to the occasion, and they were excited to they were out to prove the work that they've put in should put their name up there with with the rest of these these big time players.
Talked about it a little bit too in our preview of your game this week, Coach. We know Danny Bruckman, losing him from last season was obviously hard, as he was a huge effective player, as we know, over 1,400 yards rushing. But what we've seen now from Grant Hitchcock, it seems like he's taken a huge step forward in his development and his progression. Talk to me about what you've seen in Grant, and just from what you saw last year from an offensive coordinator to this year as a head coach.
Sure, that's a great question there. I think the big thing was this offseason, the goal was to get the kid to, he's obviously got athletic abilities on his feet. When I met him last year, his arm was so unorthodox, and we were actually in a quarterback competition with him and another gentleman, Tim Kinkoff, who's actually no longer able to play due to health issues. But I think the rest of the coaches thought I was probably crazy last year when I said, Grant's going to be the guy, because, like I said, he couldn't throw. So luckily, I've been blessed to play the quarterback position for a few years now. So we spent a lot of time in the off season working on, his mechanics from the ground up, not necessarily his throwing motion, but, getting his base together, how to drop back, how to sit in the pocket. And last year I kind of kept the cuffs on him a little bit, until later in the season. I tried not to run him as much to keep him healthy and to keep him to, help him to learn the understanding of how to play the game within the tackles. And, and it's, I guess, and there was another thing that I just kind of tried and sent him off to one of my buddies from college, who's a great receiver coach, goes by the name of Glenn Campbell. And I wanted him to really understand the wide receiver position, and the releases and the timing and everything that goes into route running, so that, to me, it just gives you a better understanding of who you're throwing the ball to and how to get the ball to him.
It is amazing that you say how much work mechanically he's put in, because, with the first 3 games you watch film, the one thing you can say about him is accuracy has been on the money. I mean, Ty did his game last week. He put some dimes on in that Edgewood game. It's proof. It doesn't go without work. I mean, he's obviously put the work in to build up his accuracy.
Yeah, for sure. He, we have like a daily challenge, him and I, and he's probably passed me up now, but if not, he's right on my heels, and he's keeping me young, and it's fun. A lot of fun at practice, just, a lot of target practice. But like I said, I think that position it's definitely a mental position, but a lot of guys think it's in here. But to me, the better my feet got and my mind was to understand the game, the better, this just kind of comes natural. So I'm just proud of the kid.
Let's just shine a light on your lines right now, because I think in the trenches is another place where you guys have shown a lot of steps forward this year. And these guys don't get a lot of credit. They do all the dirty work. Sure. They keep your quarterbacks clean. And then they make the other quarterback dirty. talk about your lines and what kind of strides they have made this year from last year.
Sure. I mean, you got to think we have, 3 of them returning from last year with a 1,400-yard rusher from last year. The line was predominantly in the sophomore class. So those guys are back. But Mason Polowski, got to give him credit, man. He's our leader up front. He's our center, but the kid could play guard. He could play tackle. He goes on the D-line, had a big sack last week for us in the Edgewood game. Kid kind of does it all, but it's a lot of stuff he does, off the tape that's made him special, to me and to this program, just with his leadership. If another guy's, off on a Tuesday, he's the first one to go pick him up and go rally him and get them together and get on them. So, between him, our left guard, Sam Disher, one of our bigger kids, and then our left tackle, man, he's wiry. He's not too thick over there, but the kid's a fighter. I think, he's a wrestler, and that kind of comes out in the trenches. And those guys just battle. Like you said, they don't get a lot of credibility. But we didn't run for 1,400 yards last year on accident. Danny, got to give Danny his credit for sure. But he was running behind some guys that were willing to fight and learn on the fly. And this year, those guys are back. They're hungry. Again, and we had a lot of 7-on-7s this year in our area. And obviously, those guys don't get a lot of love and a lot of credit in those things. So I think they're just hungry. It's just a hungry group of guys that are just trying to make a name for themselves and for this program.
Talk to me a little bit, Coach, about your defense. I mean, 3 straight games. I mean, you've held opponents under 20 in each of those 3 games. I mean, the defense is playing out of their minds right now. And a lot of these are two-way players. So talk to me about how important you're preaching to these players that are playing on offense, how important defense is, and kind of go through why this defense has improved so much from what we've seen in Jefferson Falcons teams of the past.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing this year, and it's funny because last year was my first year as an offensive coordinator. It was my first year coaching high school football, period. Actually coaching football at all. I've always just done work behind the scenes and just loved on kids from, when the cameras weren't around. But, this year, going in, I spoke to a few mentors about, who to hire and how to hire this defense coordinator position. And, it's one of my buddies from college who, again, came in like me last year, 0 experience, but just had a heart for kids and, has a love for the game. And so he's been doing, his name's Melvin Leaf. He's been doing a phenomenal job. I think the biggest difference this year is, one, getting guys in the right position, getting our athletes on the field. But obviously with that, being a smaller program and light, a light sideline is how important your off-season training is, not just lifting weights, but the cardio, the conditioning, the stretching, everything that comes into that. So these guys are durable, and able to do this for 10 weeks. So I think we're showing so far we've done a pretty good job with our off-season program. But the biggest thing on the field is the willingness to adjust. Egos are out of the way. They're out the window. They don't exist here. And like I said, with a young D coordinator, he's just, the guy's not afraid of the moment. And if something's not working, we don't have to wait till halftime and wait till later in the season to fix it. Let's make a change right now. And we better have practiced it during the week, obviously. But it's been a great journey, a great experience so far. Got to give credit to that guy, though.
I want to get a chance for you to preview this Gerard game and the first step in the NE8, a very tough NE8 for you guys, and what you expect from the Indians. Without giving away the farm, what some of the game plans are, and maybe some keys to victory for you guys.
Man, those got to give credit to this Gerard team. Obviously, a well-coached team, well-established program, well-established staff. Those guys look just as good as they did, if not better than they did on last year's tape. That is a team I got to see last year here at our place. But, obviously they look good. They got some big guys up front. They got some good skill guys. Quarterback looks solid. They're running the ball. They're very balanced. And then they switched things up a little bit on defense. So give credit where it's due. Those guys look good. But we're excited. We're excited for the challenge. Right now, our 3-0 record goes out the window. The goal is to go 1-0 this week. Some of the keys I think, it takes in order to get that done is, controlling the ball, making sure, we're smart with the football, limit our turnovers. And I think this will be a big week. We're going to have to respond. I think, Gerard's, like I said, well coached. They're going to do some good things offensively. And I'm excited to see how we respond to that. If they put a quick one on us, can we come back down and return the favor? And then, how do we play when our back's against the wall? But the thing is, our off season, I feel like has kind of built us to be ready for these moments, to prepare for a Gerard, prepare for a Poland, prepare for a South Range, and the rest of those tough guys. We threw Mooney on the schedule back in August. They came up. We played a well-established Perry, just had a running back go to West Virginia last year. And we've been all around the place to do 7-on-7s, whatever we could do to compete. We had to teach these guys how to win, how to compete, how to respond. So I'm actually very excited to go jump on the road for the first NE8 game and really get a test to see where we're at. I think these kids are excited as well. This entire school, teachers, my bosses, everyone's ready to go. So it should be a good one.
Talk about jumping on the road again. I mean, we know it's your third road game in 4 games, but this last week, week 3, was actually the home opener. Talk to me a little bit about what it was like being able to coach in front of a capacity crowd yet again, too. And that was your first time as a head coach, first time actually coaching the Falcons with a capacity crowd on hand. Talk to me about the community involvement and how much that is going to mean to this team going forward.
Oh, man, I keep saying this in probably every interview and article I'm in, but God doesn't say oops, man. And this thing was intentional. God was intentional about this specific moment with this specific setup. And I just couldn't be more blessed, man. I mean, I'm hearing it might have been the biggest crowd we may have ever had or had in a long time. And those guys were ready to go, from the old ladies, the old gentlemen, to the kids, kids I see in the hallway, kids I've never seen before. I think we even had a few Edgewood kids over on our side that I've coached when they were younger and just kind of rooting for us. It was just an amazing environment, amazing atmosphere. And again, I was happy with, our kids not being distracted by it, but instead allowing it to, give us a little bit of an edge, a little bit of an advantage. And that was a game where Edgewood came right down the field and punched it in. And they got quiet there for a few minutes. And again, we responded. And once we responded, the crowd kind of carried us through the rest of the way. And that was man. I told the guys, I still feel like I'm living in a dream, man. I'm waiting to wake up. Was very exciting, and we're looking forward to obviously this week, but really can't wait for that homecoming game next week as well.
Man, that's impressive to get some Edgewood fans to come over and root for you guys. Tip of the hat to that, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us today. We definitely appreciate the time and the busy schedule, that football brings. And we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Absolutely. Thanks for the coverage, guys. Appreciate you guys having us on.
All right, that was Brandon Hanna, head coach of the Jefferson Falcons football team, joining us on the Running Point. And we have CEO breaking news, so we'll jump to him.
To no one's confirmed. Christian at United has been canceled. Everybody can guess the situation there. Valley Christian looking for a football game. So if there's anybody out there that we know kind of connecting the dots, Valley Christian is looking for a football game for this Friday, this week. I'm sure that Andy Hake would play on the moon if he had to. So I would say that if you know anybody out there, we're trying to connect the dots here. We now know that Liberty is going to be playing at Rootstown. at Rootstown instead of against Brookfield this week. So Brookfield and Liberty canceled, as well as Valley Christian United. That's 2 games that we're going to continue to keep our eyes on that situation. As news develops, you can go over to ysnlive.com and catch all the coverage over there. So wanted you guys to have it first.
No, another COVID, affecting a weekend, and it seems like we can't get through a week without this happening.
Yeah, and I hate to say this, but I think we're going to have more before the week is over. There's a lot of people. We're hearing a lot of rumors.
When one team goes down, you obviously have to look at who they played last week. That's just the reality.
I just talked to the Crestview coach, Paul Cusick, and he says they're good. Now, we already talked about their volleyball team, being shut down. Their middle school and high school volleyball teams being shut down, I guess. So when you look at it, it's, you got United. If Valley Christian's looking for a game, that means United was the one that had the case. So now you got to go back tracing and look at, okay, what's the situation? This whole thing is, we talked about it. Once the Canfield Fair happened, that we were going to start seeing this happen and more and more and more, and here we are. It's incredible to me. It's incredible.
Kind of. I'm really glad it's not more than it is, because it probably could have been a little bit more than it is.
Well, and
it might still be too.
Yeah, you'll see the coaches' corner that Paul and I did. A lot of it go back to what we did last year. Like, if you want sports to happen, we're going to have to backtrack too. We're going to have to go back to, these, half capacity or whatever it is. There were so many different intricacies last year surrounding a COVID season. We're going to have to go back to that. If we want to finish the season, that's inevitably what we're going to have to do. And why it's unfortunate and not what anybody wants. Would you rather not have sports? Because the other option is we don't have it, because people's safety are on the line. You know what I mean? And as a parent first, you have to say, listen, I've got to take care of my kid. Sports are great, but if they're continuously around people and listen, I don't care what side of the fence you're on. And this is my personal take. This isn't the take of the company or anything. I'll preface that. Safety has to come first. Whether you have a shot or not, it is what it is. Nobody wants this. I've had COVID, in January, and I still don't have my smell back. It's a situation where, we don't know what we're fighting right now. We're fighting a nameless gray face that named COVID, and we don't know where the weakness is. And people say it's the shot, whether it is or not. I know people personally that have had the shot and have got COVID again. Not as bad. What's the difference? You know what I mean? From that standpoint, if you have it, you have it. From that standpoint. So I don't know. This is absolutely ludicrous, but we've got to start being proactive. The OHSAA, the state of Ohio, has to start being proactive like they were the first time around. We're not going to get through the season. We're in week 4. We have 12 more weeks of this. That's 3 months. We haven't made it through one yet. And we've already seen the song and dance of moving these games around.
It's not the same team every week either. We're seeing new teams pop up again and again and again. So,
and you'll continue to see that, and you'll start seeing it from the other teams, not just football. And yes, we have heavy emphasis on football because that's our coverage. But volleyball, you look at you were going to go to the Garrettsville Garfield and Crestview game tonight, and I came in and said, "You're not going." Even if a situation like that happens, Anthony, we hear that there might be. I'm not sending you. You know what I mean? We have to protect ourselves too. People don't realize there's still we are susceptible to it as well. Even though we're covering it, we're still susceptible to COVID. We did that for an entire year and a half, whatever it was. And, I have to protect you guys first. For lack of better terms, you're my kids, right? I've got to make sure that I don't put my kids in danger,
right?
Sending you out to games. And it's just, I feel for the ADs. I feel for the kids. I feel for the parents. The parents need to be patient, though. I'm watching them, act like buffoons on social media. Would you rather see your kid run for 15 yards on 3 carries, or would you rather see them be healthy for another 16 weeks.
Like, what's that 150 yards worth to you?
Yeah, I don't understand it sometimes. Do I want to see everybody play sports? I do. But I also want to see them graduate, have families, and move forward with their life. Sports is what we do. It's not who we are. You know what I mean? It's not who we are at the end of it. It's very frustrating to me to not have to do this every week because we report the news. We report the sports news and breaking news. But to have to hear the parents whine and complain about it, like, it's not the athletic director's fault. It's not the coach's fault. Like, you think they don't want to play? You think they're sitting there like, oh, wait, I really don't want to play this team. We got COVID this week. No, that's not how they do it. So sometimes the parents are the ones that need to grow up a little bit because the kids are going to take a page out of your book and start blaming people. Like, there's nobody to blame. This is an epidemic. It's a pandemic. It's not over. You know, people that declared victories over this thing were short-sighted. So Valley Christian United canceled. Valley Christian looking for a game. Brookfield Liberty canceled. Liberty playing Rootstown. So we will keep you up to date on if we will have the coverage of the Liberty versus Rootstown game, or if that's going to be an X on the board. So we'll have all the latest breaking news as it comes available to us. And again, head over to ysnlive.com for all your updates.
Thanks, TJ. Thanks for that. So now, yeah, we take that in. We have to take in the breaking news like I feel like we're doing every week here on a Thursday. Tough on the day right before the game, too.
I mean, we saw it happen last week with Fitch and Glen Oak, and again, it's happening yet again this week, and it's been a weekly occurrence ever since week 1. And as DJ said, it's not likely to change. This is going to be a weekly occurrence of Russian roulette, who gets the bullet this time and who gets the axe on their game. And it's unfortunate because it's been a lot of unique matchups, ones that we don't typically see a whole lot that have been axe, and ones that have been tradition as well for years, as well as Sebring and Leetonia that have been axed in week 1. So there's been a lot of games, and like you said, you don't blame the kids, you don't blame the AD, where it's a disease, it's a virus that's out there, and we're fighting it, whether or not whether or not how dangerous you think it is or not, or where your opinion lies on it. The fact of the matter is, and it's the same thing that DJ says, and it's something that I said last year too. One kid's life, if you lose one life, it's too much, as far as I'm concerned, and that's any school. So yeah, life and safety and health over everything, over sports, even for all these kids, is definitely the preface, and definitely the priority that you need to make is making sure that these kids are safe. Obviously, we know football is a gladiator type sport, but there's no winning in the trenches against this one. If this one gets you, and it's one of those bad cases, it's going to get you. So you need to make sure you take the precautions. You need to make sure your kids are safe. And you know what? From the standpoint of these athletic directors, you really can't blame them, and you really can't. I don't see any reason to actually get mad at them and hate on them, because they're thinking from the best intentions, and their intentions are from the safety and that standpoint of the kids. They want the kids to be safe. They want the kids to be healthy, and they don't want anything to go wrong in that aspect. And for that, I respect that.
Yeah, and I just got over a sickness. It wasn't COVID, but at the same time, it really put me down, and I don't want anyone to go through. It was still a virus. It's very similar to COVID-19. It wasn't COVID-19, but still, I don't want anyone to have to go through that. So obviously, we want people to be safe. That's just the reality of the situation, and it sucks. We don't like that teams have to cancel their game, but like we've been echoing, sometimes you just have to take a step back and be extra cautious, because we are dealing with kids. It's high school kids. These aren't professionals. They're not paid to play. They're high school students, and
you got to remember too, especially even in colleges too, but especially the NFL. These players that are going out there and playing every week in these games that are going on, they're still taking the players out that have COVID. They're not playing at all. But the players that do get COVID have the best medical attention probably in the world, at least in the country, working on them too. We don't have the same luxuries at the high school level, and you want to make sure that these kids are all safe.
So we drudge on. We're going to take a quick break, and on the other end, we will preview Middle Ridge's big matchup this week before we talk to head coach Brian Shaner at 1:15. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
Every customer has a story, and at Greenwood Chevrolet, we are committed to making sure it ends with you in the right vehicle. I get to be part of somebody's adventure, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their finances. They trust me to take care of them, and they trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Working with your family can be stressful at times, but because they're family, you know that you're going to get a loving, honest answer, even when things don't make sense to any problem. Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
For all your Medicare needs, call Myers Family Insurance.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Notice we'll have scattered showers on Thursday.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Jimmy Sutton here, director of Isle, Purple Cat, and Golden String. We are happy to support YSN and two of my favorite people, Scotty Mincher and Super Dave O'Malley. We are an agency that provides services for adults with disabilities. We infuse humor, passion, and joy into their lives. If you know of any folks with disabilities that need our assistance, please contact us.
Your teams work hard and give it all they've got. Well, so does ours, because 21 Sports and YSN give you extra effort when covering local sports. 21 Sports and YSN, winning coverage of our Valley's teams.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Dealing with Medicare can be confusing and overwhelming. That's why here at Myers Family Insurance, we do our best to give you honest and caring answers to all of your questions. Family, like Medicare, isn't always perfect, but when you put others first, the results can be amazing.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. Anthony Hartwig alongside Ty Bartell as we continue this on this Thursday, and we're going to talk to Brian Shaner, the head coach of the Middle Ridge Rams, coming up in a little bit. But before we get to him, let's preview this big matchup, big rivalry, Middle Ridge versus McDonald in Middle Ridge. McDonald's struggling a little bit, but that doesn't mean you can count out the Blue Devils.
No, it doesn't. And McDonald going through one of their worst starts in years at 0-3, and it's a game that McDonald needs to win. And we said anytime a team needs a victory, they become that much more dangerous. And for the Blue Devils, it was an offense that they're losing a lot of their starters from last year. And you talk about Dom Shadle at quarterback being a big one, but also losing 3 offensive linemen and Caden Crown, Hunter McCombs, and Greg Murdich that are all gone, as well as Dominic Cardigo, which was one of the favorite targets for Shadle. Logan Hawk is now the quarterback there at McDonald, and it's just trying to figure some things out right now. But I mean, Kyle Crown is his offensive lineman, and Nathan Gilligan is the running back, the senior running back there, and he's having a solid year. But right now, I think for McDonald, it's really going to just come down to that offensive line just needs to be a little bit better going forward this week. And I think that's what we're going to have to see. And we know what McDonald has done in years past and how good their lines have been and how good the size of McDonald has been. I think it's going to be it's going to have to come down to the offensive line just needing to be able to perform when the game starts getting close and when the game starts coming down to a wire down late stages of the game. And this is a young team. This is a team that needs to learn how to play together. It's an offense that needs to learn how to play together. And then same thing on defense. They lost a lot of those guys because they were two-way players on defense, but same guys. Logan Hawk is on defensive back, so is Gilligan, and as well as Kyle Crown plays offensive and defensive line. But those are your 3 big names on that McDonald team, and those are 3 big names I'm looking for on both sides of the ball to really be the playmakers for the Blue Devils in this one, and they're going to need to be. And Logan Hawk, we've seen these progressions, and we've seen him starting to get a lot better week after week, and we're seeing those improvements overall, I think, with McDonald. And I think this is going to be a game where you might see the most complete McDonald team this season. Remember, against Valley Christian, they were able to put up a decent amount of points, 34, their most to this point. So they're putting up more and more points each and every week. Problem was they just gave up a little bit more than most of the season last week. If their defense can contain Mineral Ridge, hold them, say, in the 30s, or say under 30, I think McDonald has a really good chance at pulling this one off because their offense has proven now that they've been able to get better week after week, and you're going to see that. It's going to keep improving week after week because they're learning to play with each other and they're getting that chemistry. And I think overall, McDonald, like I said, you're going to see the most complete team, and you're going to see a team that is desperate, and both of those can spell trouble for the Rams this week.
Yeah, like you said, an offense that really looked like they started to put things together on Saturday in week 3. You know, obviously their defense not exactly what you'd like, but 34 points. That's more than they scored in weeks 1 and 2. I think 1 and 2 combined, if I'm not mistaken. So their offense really put things together. And then, you know, if they put things together in week 3, you have to assume they're going to get even better in week 4. They got a very good coaching staff, and they're going to keep progressing. And you got to imagine that offense might look even better than it did in week 3.
Yeah, and it very well might. And, you know, you can expect it, too, because they're starting to play together and they're starting to play better. And I think Logan Hawk's getting comfortable in that quarterback position now. And you're seeing him now that he's gotten his feet wet with those first 3 games. He seems like now that he's gotten the taste of it, he's ready and he's revved up to go. And you're seeing that confidence starting to build before your eyes.
Yeah, well, you talk about a quarterback that has confidence under center. Look at what Mark Bunch is doing, really under the radar. I don't think a lot of guys are talking about him enough, but he's firmly putting his foot in to the quarterback discussion. When you talk about good quarterbacks in the area that are returning quarterbacks, Mark Bunch is having a really good season right now for Mineral Ridge.
I think so as well. I mean, Mark Bunch is going to go this Mineral Ridge team is going to go as far as Mark Bunch takes them. And you know what? He's taking them pretty far. But as good as Mark Bunch has been, one thing I want to compliment especially is the Mineral Ridge defense. And it was a defense that was very good last year, held opponents right around 20, and they're doing the same thing again this year. Mark Bunch is a big part of that as well, playing defensive back. But you also have guys like Mason Miller at linebacker. You have Zach Stacy, too, that's on defensive line, too, as a sophomore, as well as Ty Tamboro, too, at linebacker, as well as part of a very good linebacking core for this Mineral Ridge team. But the big thing about this Mineral Ridge team, 22 points is the most they've allowed this season. They have been allowed more than 22 points. So again, holding opponents around that 20 range very, very hard to beat a football team when you're only scoring around 20, 21 points per game. So that's the biggest thing I think for McDonald going into this one is, can they figure out this Mineral Ridge defense that's been so good and has held teams in check as far as giving their offense and giving Mark Bunch a chance to win under center when the offense comes around.
And you know what? We can talk about it till we're blue in the face, but I think we should have Coach Brian Shaner come on and talk about this team. No one knows it better than him. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Thank
There
you,
we
guys.
go. That was good. I'm the king of doing that, Coach. Don't worry. I do it all the time.
Coach, before we preview this week's game and get into the nitty-gritty of your team, just kind of talk about the bounce back after week one and what you've seen in the first 3 weeks from this team and the improvement after that disappointing week one loss to Pie Valley.
Well, Pie Valley, we knew going into that game we were a little overmatched. I mean, they had a lot of size coming back. And, we're a young football team. We have a couple seniors that played a little bit last year, and we knew we were set up for some growing pains. And I said it all summer, if we didn't grow up quick, we would struggle a little bit against Pie Valley. Our kids played very hard. We missed our opportunities, and we learned from those mistakes. And then we had the Lisbon cancellation, and I didn't know how our team would rebound then even. Pete stepped up and played us, and we went out. We played a decent, couple quarters of football, and I still think the best football is ahead of us because we haven't put a game together yet. I thought we played well in the first half against Falls, and then we kind of got complacent. This team needs to learn how to win, and they really got to learn how to win quick because against McDonald, if you let up, you're not beating them.
I think one of the areas that's been very impressive, Coach, is your defense. Defense has been able to hold teams pretty much in check right around that 20-point mark, that's about where you were last year. Talk to me a little bit about what you're seeing on the defense and what are some areas you can see improvements on that defense.
Well, number one, and the most important, we got to tackle. We just do not tackle well as a unit, and I'm not used to that here at Ridge. Our first 2 years here, we've been a very good tackling football team, and we run to the ball very well. But we got to take pride in tackling because if we don't, 42 is going to make us pay. He's a great back. Number 5 last week, the back for Newton Falls, had a great game against us. We got guys in position. We're just not a very good tackling team. Again, we swarm to the ball very, very well. We play our role very well, and we know our assignments very well. It's just we don't tackle. If we have to do better this week. If we do better, we're going to have a very good defensive showing. And again, with our style of defense, I've never been a bend but don't break, but that's kind of what we're doing. We're giving up yards, and we're kind of buckling down in that red zone area. But, again, you can't do that against McDonald because they're going to take their shots, and 42 is a great football player. We really got to be able to tackle him to have a chance Friday night.
And one of the things that I have to bring up for Middle Ridge is the quarterback play. And Mark Bunch, we talked about it before you came on the air. This kid, he's under the radar. People aren't really talking about him enough, but he's putting together a really strong campaign. And it's probably no surprise to you because he's been putting in the work for a while.
He does, and he's a kid. I got to admit, I don't know if I've ever coached a quarterback this hard. I'm on him every day just because I know his talent level and how good he can be. And then last week showed it. We went into that game, and I don't know how many people out there gave us a chance to beat a 2-0 Newton Falls team that just beat up on 2 of our league teams. But the kid went out there and played. He lets me coach him hard. I get after him every day, and he's a competitor. He wants to be the best, and I think you said it the right way. I think he is flying under the radar. I think he's one of the top quarterbacks in the area, and he has another chance to prove it this week. And I hate to put a lot of pressure on one guy, but I got to say, if Bunch has a day, we have a good shot in the football game. And again, you're the quarterback. You're in the limelight, man. I tell him, go out and do it. Have a great evening.
So we know what the situation is in McDonald, and it's a situation that they're not accustomed to over there. And we know how well the fan base travels. We know how well this team performs. This is a team coming into this week 4 game that is both desperate, and we're seeing improve week to week. How do you, as the coach of the Rams, how do you try? What are you telling your guys to counteract that? Telling them what to expect coming into this game.
Well, first of all, I think our motto is that we always worry about us. If we go out and we perform, we always like us. If we don't perform, then you're in for one of those dog fights. And I'm very honest with our football team. I let them know that if we would play McDonald's schedule the first 3 weeks, we maybe have the same record. And if they played ours, they may have the same record. So I think it's a very evenly matched game. I think they're very physical in the trenches. Our O-line knows that if we don't block those front four, it's going to be a long night for us. Mark's going to make plays, but I don't want him to make them under duress. They're a good football team. They wear the M. They have great tradition, and we haven't beat them yet. So until that happens, we kind of keep our guys grounded. It's been a very exciting week in Ridge, with Spirit Week and stuff like that. But to me, until we beat them, they're better than us. So we'll see Friday night.
You get them at home and you get them in that new, nice-looking turf. Talk about what it's been like to get this new field and what it's going to be like to open the league play at home and what it's like playing on the turf.
It's absolutely amazing. I mean, the work that went into getting this project going with our Board of Education and our superintendent, Mr. Dohar, for them to have, we're a Division VI school with one of the best entire venues in the whole area. It's really second to none. It's exciting. I can honestly tell you guys, I don't watch the weather as much as I used to because you don't have to worry about your practice field being muddy. We never did miss a day of practice. And it's gorgeous. Anyone that's going to come out tomorrow night is going to be around a great atmosphere, a rivalry game that's right up there with the best of them. So, no, we do. We have a really nice place, and it's going to be a fun place to coach at tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. Get out there and go support the Mineral Ridge Rams and their new stadium. Go check that one out. I want to make that trip down there. Not yet, but I will eventually. But talking about this game, though, Coach, and talking about what you saw this season, I should say rather, and having that support of those fans back. Talk to me about a little bit about what that meant to you, what that's meant to the kids being in this new stadium and having that full capacity crowd behind you guys again.
They're absolutely unbelievable. Our fans follow us. They travel very well, very supportive. We have a great student section. They were getting after it last week with Newton Falls coming to town. But, when you say that, you got to start talking expectations. When you win a couple football games and you've had a couple decent seasons back to back, there are expectations. And I like that. I want the community to expect us to win. I want them to expect us to go out and put a great product on the field and represent Mineral Ridge how we're supposed to. And there's no better place to do it. We have a great facility. We have great young men that love to be coached, and we have a great following. So I tell you, I'm having a ball being there, and so is my coaching staff. And again, we got great kids. They let us coach them up hard, and they go out and they play for us. It's a really good match for all of us.
I want to bring up another kid that looks really impressive this year on both sides of the ball. Tyler Tamboro. He was a great target for Mark Bunch in week 3. I think 6 catches, over 130 yards, couple touchdowns. Talk about what he does, putting in work on both sides of the ball, linebacking and at the receiver spot, and what he means to this program.
Well, he's unbelievable. When I say he's 5'6", that's probably in spikes. Very undersized, but he's just absolutely amazing. Like you said, he had a great stat line last week. Before that at EP, also had 2 touchdowns and over 100 yards. He's another wide receiver that's flying under the radar in the area, but he's a guy that I know is going to show up each and every game. His highlight reel right now, some of the catches he's making, it's like Odell Beckham style, the way he's going up and getting the ball. It's unbelievable for a kid his size to be able to play against the guys he's playing against. And he's such at a high level right now. It's really nice. And again, on the linebacking side, it's amazing he holds up. He's a smaller guy. We got him playing outside linebacker, and I know people want to run the ball at him, and he takes them all on. He don't shy away from contact. He's a very physical kid. He has a heart of a lion. I'll tell you that. I love going in the trenches with a kid like that because he's having a really good football season for us.
I think we all know, and when Nathan Gilligan and Logan Hawk are healthy, they're going to be running the ball a lot for this McDonald team. Who are some players that you're tasking with kind of being the key players defensively in this game that you're looking to? You talk about tackling being that big issue going into this one. Who are those couple players that you're looking at on defense saying, hey, it's your job to make sure these two are contained?
Well, we knew having Tamboro back, he was one of our main guys. And then we kind of have, a great mix of linebackers that we blend in with him. Nathan Rohrman is only a junior. He's a 3-year starter for us. He's our Mike linebacker, running back. He reminds me of Gilligan from McDonald because he's our everything. You know what I mean? He's that anchor on D and now running the ball for us on O. So we're counting on him to be able to tackle 42 with Rohrman. And then our other outside, Mason Miller, having a great season for us, also only a junior. Those three guys try to do a lot for us in the middle. Alex Sturgeon and Ian Erb are other stack backers. Them guys, all 5 of them guys we count on to run and make tackles. We got to get better at it. Again, to tackle Hawk and Gilligan, it's a big feat. But I think those 5 are going to be ready.
So before we let you go, I want to give you the chance to highlight your coaching staff because obviously we're interviewing you and the head coaches get a lot of the limelight. They get a lot of the talk. But we know that the coaches wouldn't be anywhere without the staff that's holding them up. So talk a little bit about the guys that work with you and what they mean to the program.
Well, they mean everything to the program. I coach a little bit different. We're a little bit over the top, to be honest with you. And they let me coach like that. The most loyal group of guys, that you want around you. They're there for the kids, number one. That's definitely a criteria that I put out there for every coach I've ever hired or had on my staff. And these guys are really second to none. Michael Calderon has been with me forever, since I was at Niles and I came over. Michael's done a great job on the headset helping call the offense. He's my offensive line coach as well as carries that title of offensive coordinator. What he's able to do with our technology and making sure our line's ready to go, he's absolutely unbelievable. Since we've been in Ridge, Nick Wagner has been my defensive coordinator, does a really good job on that side of the ball, getting our guys lined up and playing hard and playing fast. Those are my coordinators, and then my position coaches too. Coach Kroc has been with me here in Niles and over at Ridge. He helps out with the O-line, D-line. Coach DJ Williamson is with us. He was I hate to even say it because we're college football's firing up, but he was a Michigan, full ride football player that I got to come on over here and help us out with our D backs and running backs. And then I've got on 2 new young guys this year. It's really exciting to bring young guys in and get their feet wet and Kyle Lundgren and Griffin Howe, linebackers, DBs, wide receivers. We had a little bit of turnover this year, but again, what a great staff I have. My hat's off to them being able to put up with me and let me do my style of coaching. These guys are second to none, and they really work hard.
Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Good luck tomorrow against McDonald. I know it's a big rivalry game for your community, and we look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate everything you do.
That was Brian Shaner, head coach of the Mineral Ridge Rams, and we love having him on, and we look forward to continued coverage of Mineral Ridge football as the year goes on. That was a great interview, Ty.
Yeah, another great interview right here on Running Point. We love talking with the area coaches, especially these football coaches that we know are so busy and take time out of their busy schedules and busy days to come on and talk with us just for a few minutes. We love having it because we love being able to get kind of inside the locker rooms a little bit and get those insights before the games, and especially on the Thursday before big games for both teams, both Mineral Ridge and for Jefferson, both opening up big games this week. So I was excited to be able to talk with them, and like we do with all coaches, be able to get in the locker room a little bit.
You know what I loved about that interview? With all he has all the respect in the world for McDonald, but I love that he doesn't give he knew who Gilligan was. He said his name, he knew who he was. But most of the interview is just 42. We gotta stop. And he's taken the face and the name away from the opponent and just saying faceless 42 in white, gotta stop him. And I like that mentality from a football coach, McDonald, whoever they play. Faceless opponent, with a number on their chest. We don't care what the name is because there's a lot of big names in that conference. You and I both know it. So, not worried about the name, not worried about the school. Just, hey, we got to stop 42. And I like that.
Yeah, and I mean, you take a lot of the emotions out of the game, and you just make it a mission and a job rather for the guys. And we talk about like guys in the NFL that do it as well.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you talk about it. You talk about like NFL coaching styles and just that do your job mentality. And I mean, it goes back to just that. It goes back to the bare basics of just do your job. Stop 42 is the job now.
I just love that because, we just lost Ty for a minute. He might be having some internet issues at Kent State, but I just love the idea that sometimes, especially with kids, they can get caught up in the hype of who they're playing and the names, and with that you just say faceless opponent, nameless opponent. We have to stop 42 or whoever the player is across from the line. So we'll take a quick break on Running Point, and we'll be right back with more Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
We are there in your community. Small business owners, mechanics, police officers, homemakers. And we are there serving our nation in the Air Force Reserve. When medical emergencies arise, in cybersecurity, when natural disasters happen, we are there in space. We are Reserve Citizen Airmen, and we are there with over 180 different jobs to serve your country. Air Force Reserve.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
My guy keeps it 100% of the time. He wants all 100, won't settle for 99. And it's more than stats because there's people in those numbers. And I was one of the lost sheep. I'm so glad he cares for all 100. I'm 100% safe, 100% free, 100% love. I can be 100% me. He gave all 100 when they put him up on that tree. That's 100% passion for 100% free. So if I play in front of 100, or if I play in front of 2, there's an audience of 1 getting 100% of what I can do.
WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. With our combined 70 years experience, WRS Wealth Advisors is the area's premier wealth and retirement specialist. Call 330-965-0370 to learn more about our individual and corporate financial planning services, or visit wrswealth.com. Good luck, athletes.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. We have Ty back. Thanks, Ty, as we have maybe fixed the problem, maybe not. Kent State Wi-Fi a little bit shaky at the moment, but we'll truck through like we always do.
Yeah, we'll hopefully be able to get through the rest of this without any issues. There's a little bit of technical difficulties as the glitch gremlins are attacking YSN's Wi-Fi right now, or the Wi-Fi connection between here and YSN studios.
Those dang glitch gremlins, they always strike when you least expect them to.
Yeah, trying to strike again, trying to bring down the YSN train, but not having all the success. We're back on, we're back ready, and we're back to talk sports.
Yeah, we just talked, if you missed it, we had Brian Stainer on, a Middle Ridge head coach, previewing the McDonald game. It's a big rivalry game, and that will be on YSN Live tomorrow night, along with all the other games on the network, and that one will be carried by Jake Silak. He will have the call from Middle Ridge. And he's right. What a good opportunity to open up conference play on that new field and that new facility.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's a big game against a big opponent, and it's going to be a fun game despite the records. Throw the records out the window in this one because there's still a great chance for McDonald, especially being in Division 7, of still coming away with a good playoff seed, especially with the expanded playoffs this year. And McDonald is a team that's desperate right now, desperate for a victory, and they have a lot of positives to take away from that game against Valley Christian. So this is going to be a good one. And, hey, you heard what Coach Shaner said. We have yet to beat him. He has yet to beat McDonald. So right now he's over against McDonald, and that's the biggest thing going into Friday night.
And before we move forward, I want to just do some house cleaning in case you're just tuning in. Breaking news, Valley Christian versus United this week has been canceled. Valley Christian is actively looking for a game, which would let you know that United is the one that has to step away before COVID protocol. Also, Liberty versus Brookfield canceled. Liberty will now travel to Rootstown. So Liberty found another game. Valley Christian still looking. Also, Crestview Volleyball, they are in COVID protocol. So no game tonight in Garrettsville between Garfield and Crestview. So those are what we have. And so far, those are the only cancellations that we've been privy to. Obviously, teams that played, the teams that shut down last week, probably on red alert right now, probably trying to get tested and things like that. But as of now, that's what we have. Keep tuned to ysnlive.com, and we will continue to update as we get it.
Yeah, just stay tuned, as you never know in this crazy year whenever something's going to get pulled out from under the rug from us. So we keep in contact with all these athletic directors, and these athletic directors keep in contact with us. So as soon as they find out something, we find out something here at YSN, and we make sure we bring it to all of you so that way the public is made aware of what's going on as well.
And Ty, I'll tell you one thing. We have more football games to dive into in-depth previews for and get everyone ready for Friday pick'ems, and you have a pretty big one on your slate that you're going to be calling in Austintown. Ursuline coming to town, big showdown, clash of the Titans, whatever you want to call it. What kind of things are you looking forward to the most in this matchup?
It's unfortunate, too, because I know Billy Mack has prior ties to LeBray, but I'm sure this is definitely a game Billy Mack would love to be in attendance for, and I'm sure we would have a little bit of a throwing of words back and forth to each other, but this is going to be a fantastic matchup. If you remember last year, this was a game that Fitch did come away victors, and I think they came away victors by a couple of scores, but it was a very big offensive matchup, and it was an offensive matchup between two quarterbacks that we're both going to see highlighted and both have another year of experience under their belt, and both Devin Sherwood and Brady Shannon, and both of which are multi-talented in every way. Both can keep plays alive to the end. Both have tremendous arms, tremendous accuracy, and can get out of the pocket and run. And, Ursuline, with the way they schedule up, and they've been scheduling up all season long, now coming into this 1-2-1 after almost bringing that comeback last week. So, they're coming in fired up, and they're coming in upset. Falcons, of course, also coming in upset because the game against Glen Oak got the rug pulled out from under them. And the Falcons, again, being a Division II team, doing something similar to Ursuline and trying to schedule up as much as they can out of conference. And they scheduled both Camp McKinley and Glen Oak, both Division I teams, back-to-back weeks, trying to get those victories and get computer points. We know they beat Camp McKinley, but with this game being pulled out from under them now, they have a whole other week of rest, but you can also consider that a week of rust as well. And Coach Parker, it's going to be up for him to make sure that these guys are ready. Coach Parker, though, if you know, has never lost in the regular season and just completed his 10th game against Canton McKinley all time. And that brings him to 9-1. If you want to give him a full season of football in 2 seasons, 9-1 in 10 games, that's pretty darn good. But we know what Coach Reardon and the Ursuline Irish have in Ja'Kylan Irving and Brady Shannon. That connection is going to be absolutely dynamite. So that one is another one. Defensively, you're going to have to look out for, and you're looking at Deshaun Vaughn for the Falcons to try to make things happen. Remember, 3 interceptions against Cheney for Deshaun Vaughn. He's one of those guys that roams that secondary as safety, and he's one of those guys that when they are going to go throw deep to Ja'Kylan Irving, you're going to have to bring Deshaun Vaughn into coverage, and you might see Vaughn come out or zone defense, especially in that secondary, but you might also see him double up Jackylan when they need him to, and trying to create those turnovers. This is going to be a quarterback battle all the way through, though, as Devin Sherwood and Brady Shannon, I can guarantee you are both going to have pretty big nights, I would suspect, and I can definitely think you're going to see probably 400 yards combined passing offense between these two quarterbacks.
Ursuline's coming off of a really big roller coaster game, giving up 33 points in the first half, giving up 6 points in the second half, and like you said, almost completing one of the biggest comebacks you'll ever see with it being down 33-0. You got to expect some consistency from them. I'm sure Coach Reardon has been preaching all week, be consistent. You got to expect that they're going to be a consistent football team this week.
Yeah, I think so as well, and I think they will be consistent. And I don't think the Falcons are going to be able to jump Ursuline like Chardon was able to. I think Ursuline is going to have that game plan, but what you're going to see from Fitch is something very similar to what we saw from Chardon. It's an all-around offensive attack, and with DJ Williams having the game he did against Kent McKinley, I think that's proved to be true more now than ever. DJ Williams, of course, we know had well over 100 yards, 3 touchdowns against Kent McKinley. It was a huge breakout game for him. So having that guy as in the backfield, that guy that's running, that's a dynamic runner in the backfield, as well as having your receivers as Tyler Evans, Dan Evans III as well. This is an offense that has pieces all over the field, and they can beat you in more ways than one. So it's not just up for Ursuline to try to stop one area of defense. They're going to have to be a solid defensive unit to try to get in this one with Fitch. I have no doubt that Ursuline's going to be able to get their points against the Falcons. I have my doubts if Ursuline's defense is going to be able to hold the Falcons. And that's the biggest question, I think, for the Irish in this one, because that's been, I think, the biggest question for them is what is your defense? We see it go up and we see it go down. We've seen a week where their defense has been lights out dynamic, and we've seen 2 weeks where the defense has kind of let them down. One of them, they were able to come out victorious, one of them not. But I think that's the biggest question that you're looking at is defense. But these are also 2 great coaches in Coach Parker and Coach Reardon. This is a matchup that I think is just must see in the Valley Friday night. I think it's must see between 2 teams that can make very deep runs in their respective division. Division 2 for Fitch, Division 4 for Ursuline. Ursuline, we already know, ranked number 1 in the polls. We still expect them to make a deep run at the state title. And we know Fitch from last year, disappointed with the way last year ended. They're coming back with a vengeance, and we know Coach Parker has his guys ready, and they look better than they did last year.
Do you see any downside to having the extra week of, not being able to play for Fitch? They've been sitting around for an extra week. Do you see any downside to that?
I do see a downside to it. I see a downside because Devin Sherwood is a man that he thrives off of repetition, and he thrives off of doing things over and over and over again. So bye weeks don't work as well for him. I think he'd rather be out on the field playing. Of course, Coach Parker, I'm sure, has tried to do some scrimmages, tried to do some practices as much as he can just to keep his guys ready, but it doesn't supplement for in-game time. Also, to those two, some of these younger guys like your DJ Williams that are younger backs, those weeks off can really play with you a little bit more. Sometimes it helps because you get that extra rest as a young guy, but sometimes it hurts because after you have a big game like you just did against Kent McKinley, now it's like, all right, pause. And now you have to try, when you had all the momentum carrying in, now you have to try to get that back up. Do I think DJ has the potential to do it? Yeah, I think DJ Williams can definitely do it, but I think that's the biggest thing. The rest versus rust debate is going to come in huge for Fitch this week. Some players we'll see, but I think there's definitely going to be your players that are going to be a little bit better with the rest, but I think you're going to see some rust early on in this game as well.
That week off scares me. I mean, you would love a week off towards the end of the season when your kids are beat up and they need to get healthy a little bit. But a week off in week 3, I love TJ Parker. I think he's going to have them ready. But at the same time, that's one of the things that when I'm looking at this matchup, I got to think that's going to be a factor at some point, maybe at the start of the game, because Ursuline wants to start a lot better than they did last week, obviously. So maybe this is a game where Ursuline gets out to an early lead.
The biggest thing for Ursuline, and the one problem, I think the glaring problem on offense that the Falcons are going to have to try to stop is Dean Boyd. Dean Boyd is a big man, and, the Falcons have some bigger guys, but I don't know if they have necessarily the guys with speed to keep up with him, because that's a problem. You have to catch him, and then you have to tackle him, and he's a problem in that department for the Falcons, and I think that's definitely one of the guys that I think Coach Parker has circled and said, the two receivers in Boyd and Ja'Kylan Irving, you can't let these guys beat you, and they're different in their own right. Dean Boyd, this big guy that's fast, and Ja'Kylan Irving's a barn burner. He has jets for legs, but these are two guys that are different. But I think Ja'Kylan Irving kind of can play into the Falcons' defensive system a little bit more. We talk about Deshaun Vaughn being in that secondary, being able to help with those coverages. I don't know how many guys are on the Falcons' defense right now that can both keep up with and tackle and bring down Dean Boyd right now. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing going in defensively that the Falcons are looking at, saying, we can't let this guy beat us because he has the potential to.
Seeing that's the thing, because Ursuline, we talk about the receivers so much. They love to spread you out. But one of the benefits of spreading out defenses the way they do, it gives some running room to McElroy, who is a formidable running back in the backfield. And he's a good red zone back, too, real physical, will run through you. So he might be a wild card in this game because Fitch is going to be so focused on stopping Dean Boyd and stopping Ja'Kylan Irving. You might miss a little bit of DeMarcus McElroy out of the backfield.
Yeah, and you know what? If DeMarcus McElroy, if they're going to be playing through him, I think that's going to be an area of the game where Fitch might not exactly plan for. I mean, Coach Parker, he's going to have them ready for about anything, but I don't know if anyone would expect Ursuline to come out and just straight running the ball. And if they're finding success in it, you might have to keep going with DeMarcus and keep turning to McElroy going down the stretch. And if you're finding success, that's great. But the thing is, the Falcons do have a very good defensive line, so it's about being able to bolster that. But the offensive line of Ursuline has been great, and when they need to be great, they can be fantastic, especially in that comeback against Gerard. You saw how good that offensive line held up for the Irish, and I think it's going to be another big question too. It's going to be a battle in the trenches, both teams. But I think, despite the fact that this is a Division II versus Division IV team, this is probably as evenly matched as you can get with two teams, being that they have great set of receivers, they have solid running backs in the back, two dynamic quarterbacks. And I think the only glaring discrepancy is that Ursuline has Dean Boyd and Fitch has Ursuline's defense that's been spotty. So Fitch is looking at Ursuline's defense that has been spotty and saying we could take advantage of that. Ursuline has Dean Boyd, which I don't know if there's anyone on the Falcons that could bring him down. So those are the two guys I think going into it. I think the keys to this victory, and I think the keys you're looking at both courts though. The one that comes down to comes away with the victory is going to be the guy that I think has one less turnovers and two is more efficient and holds the ball longer. So if you have the ball in your possession longer and you're more efficient and you don't cause turnovers, I think that's going to be the guy that is going to win. They might have more yards, they might have more touchdowns, but I think it's going to come down to who has more possessions at the end of the game, because this might be just a back and forth slugfest. And I think the coin toss might also be a huge, huge factor in this game as well.
The coin toss decides the game. I'm really interested in the coaching matchup too. I mean, you have two guys, both successful, but philosophies are night and day.
It very well might too.
I mean, Reardon, we talked to him. He's old school, doesn't believe in mottos. He wants to put on a T-shirt. We don't need a T-shirt. And TJ Parker is kind of the opposite. He loves social media. He loves the energy. He loves to have those mottos and those team kind of philosophies. Very opposite ends of the spectrum. Both work extremely well for where they're at. But it's a very interesting coaching matchup between these two really good coaches. Oh, we lost Ty again. Like we said before, we're struggling a little bit with the Wi-Fi at Kent State, and the last couple of times Ty's been able to get right back on, so we'll hopefully be able to hear from him again soon. But yeah, we talk about this Fitch Ursuline matchup and the fact that it's going to be a good coaching matchup. As much as we can talk about the playmakers on the field, these two coaching philosophies, night and day, they both work. They're both successful, but very different in their own right. And it's going to be interesting to see the chess matchup, the coaching matchup. We got you back, Ty? A little bit.
Yeah, I think it will be as well. Yeah, I think it will be as well. And I think, like you said, Coach Reardon and Coach Parker couldn't be different in. We good?
We good. Yeah. Oh, there he goes again. We are struggling. Kent State. Kent State's Wi-Fi. I'm gonna send a seriously worded email to their Wi-Fi department on Kent State's main campus where Ty is at. Maybe it's the individual study room he's in. It's a prison cell. Maybe they've said we're not going to give Wi-Fi into your prison cell at Kent State. So love the matchup between Urson and Fitch. Here he is again. Try number 4. We're struggling.
We're going to try this. We're going to keep trying this. I'm going to be stubborn.
Oh, man. Yeah, coaching matchup might be a big one.
I think you're right, though. I mean, talking real quick before we end the point, I think between Coach Reardon and Coach Parker, I think you're absolutely right in that there's not going to be
Struggle bus is real. You know what? We're going to take a break, try to fix some issues, and we'll be back on Running Point, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
News doesn't stop after the sun goes down. Sometimes you just have to hustle to get it. At 21 News, no matter how far it is, no matter what it takes to get there, we're working to bring you the best stories and the freshest content at 11 p.m. with the context and clarity that makes it worth staying up for, no matter what time it is. 21 News at 11 with me, Aaron Simonek, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 11, news that's worth your time.
Coca's Pizza, proud to announce our pizza buffet's back every Wednesday at our Boardman and Campfield locations. Adults only $7.99 and kids only $4.99, and $2 beer starting at 8 o'clock. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
Every customer has a story, whether it's buying a car for the first time, helping them get approved, or finding the perfect car for their budget. I'm proud that people trust me with their story. I'm Tracy, and I'm ready to go the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Hi, everyone. This is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
It's a new year at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi with huge savings on over 350 fully inspected vehicles. We have cars, trucks, SUVs, minivans, and work vehicles. We don't have it, our team will find it. We aim for 100% credit approval
with payments as low as $99 per month. And as always, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. For a great vehicle and a great experience, come see why everyone is stopping by at Acura Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi.
60 years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
You're looking to your future, preparing for your goals, and they're closer than you think. Because here, success is part of the plan. It's a place where academic and social opportunities are meant to prepare you for life, not just the next 4 years. You'll be equipped to face new challenges and turn hard work into a career. You're ready for your success to take root. And here's where it starts. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford. Choose a new Ford or from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, you'll get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours. Customer-focused, community-driven. Tri-State Ford, East Liverpool, or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of Running Point. We continue to try to get this situation under control, Ty. The Gremlins are strong.
Yeah, they are. But you know what? We are we're pushing through it. We're chugging through it, and we're
stronger, Ty.
we're gonna be just fine. I think we'll be just fine.
Oh man! So we have previewed Austintown, Fitch, and Ursuline, but there are some other really big matchups on the docket this weekend as we get teams starting into conference play. And man, am I excited for Hubbard versus Poland. And here we go. I mean, first week of the NE8, they're going to beat each other up. Poland has Hubbard's number, but so did Mooney, and Hubbard fixed that earlier this season. What do you see in this matchup? I see a lot of running and a lot of physical play in the trenches.
I mean, the one thing, too, for Hubbard, and luckily for them playing 4 straight at home before they finally go to Struthers next week. So that's been huge for Hubbard, having their faithful behind them this whole stretch of games. And it doesn't get any easier, but it culminates a 4-game home stretch with the Poland Bulldogs and another team that Hubbard is going to be very similar to and styles on offense and defense, because both these teams play a very similar style of offense, and that they both are ground and pound, battle in the trenches, linebacker and defensive line heavy on defense, offensive line heavy on offense, utilize tight ends a lot when they are in blocking schemes and even in passing schemes as well. You're going to see a lot of the same things from both these schools. But I think the biggest thing that is in Hubbard's advantage is that they have TC Caffey in the backfield. And I think that's been the biggest thing in this season, is that TC Caffey is having a career year and having a year in all Ohio that has raised a lot of eyebrows after that week 1 performance, and just continuing it on. They finally get the Mooney off their back. That Mooney win finally culminated in week 3, and now it goes right into, or week 2, and then it goes right into conference play, and it goes with one of the toughest in the conference, Poland. And you open up conference play with Poland, you end it with South Range, and in between you have the rest of the NE8 teams. But you start hard and you finish hard, and it's going to start tomorrow night, I should say, with a huge test for the Hubbard Eagles.
And you look at the preview for this in the last, like I said, Poland has had Hubbard's number the last several years. And one of the traps that I think Hubbard has fallen into against Poland the last several years is, one, falling behind early. And we talked to Romo a couple weeks ago about how Hubbard's offense isn't built to come back. They need to not get behind early. And then they've also fallen into the trap against a good Poland defense of becoming a little bit too one-dimensional, a little bit too predictable. So that's something they're going to have to work on this week.
Yeah, it is absolutely something that they're going to have to work on this week. But TC Caffey is able to make a lot of things go away, and it seems like he's kind of like the duct tape of football, and that he's the universal tool that fixes everything. And he really does. He patches up a lot of things that go wrong, even on offense. And if there's not even the right blocking scheme, or they don't get the blocks, he's able to adjust because he's hard to bring down, and he is quick as a bullet. I think for Poland on the other side, I mean, defensively, you're really just looking at that front seven, but you're really looking at guys like Christian Colosimo. You're looking at Dom Parker as these guys that are going to be up on the line. These guys are going to be playing linebacker in Colosimo's case, but these are going to be the guys that are going to need to stop TC Caffey. And these are going to be the guys that you might even have Colosimo spy TC Caffey out of the linebacker position, just because you need to make sure he stays in check. And if we're going Colosimo and Caffey all night long, that's going to be a treat for both of us. But I think Poland on the offensive side, it's going to come down to Jack Fulton. And Jack Fulton, we saw him in week one, took him a little bit of time to get the adjustments. He didn't have enough time left in the game to get the adjustments cleared, and they did ultimately fall to Canfield. But ever since that week one, they've been a different team, and they've seemed like they've been playing as a different team. But since week one, I'd like to say that this is probably going to be one of the toughest teams they've faced since week one. Louisville, very good team. Howland, a very good team, not trying to take anything away from them. But this is a Hubbard team that is also coming in, again, undefeated, not a loss on their docket. And you're going up against one of the best running backs in the entire state of Ohio in TC Caffey.
Since the NE8 came together in 2018, it's been all Poland. Last year, Poland won 28-0. And in 2019, Poland won 42-7. But before that, I mean, they've played 5 years in a row. Hubbard won in 2000 and they missed. No, 2018. I'm sorry. Hubbard won in 2018, 17-0. Poland won in 2017, 28-7, and Hubbard won in 2016, 17-7. Outside of the one game, none of those games got outside 30. So, do you expect the same thing where we see teams that this game does not get out of the 30s as far as offensive scores?
This might be a game that I think you're going to see because Hubbard's defense, I think, is vastly improved. You might see this game. The winner might just surpass 20. And you might see a 24-17 victory in one team's favor, 21-17, 21-14. It might be a very low-scoring game because of how these defenses play. And really, it's going to be run-first defense, but you're going to have to run against teams that are very good against the run defense because they're very good at counteracting what they're also very good at. So it might come down to a passing game. And if it does come down to a passing game, you think that would favor Poland a little bit if it has to come down to Fulton throwing the ball. But the biggest thing, I think, for Hubbard overall defensively is that they're a team that is really bringing back a lot on defense. They have 7 returning starters, and it comes down to the fact that, yeah, you might turn to Fulton, and if it becomes a passing game, it might favor Poland because they have the better quarterback, but you still got Royal McConaughey, you got Josh Rubin as defensive back. It's part of 3 upperclassmen defensive backs that they utilize there on Hubbard from time to time. But those are 2 big names, too, in the secondary that are going to be very, very tough to pass against. So this is going to be, I think, a defensive game through and through.
And, TC Caffey has been on another level the first 3 games. It's a coin toss. I feel like Poland knows what he's about. They definitely stopped him last year, 28-0. But this is a different TC Caffey. He looks different. He's got better blocking in front of him. It's a different Hubbard team. I feel like TC and the Hubbard offense coming into this game with a big chip on their shoulder because they've probably been hearing all week, and we've seen social media really start to get chippy this football season. A lot of student sections turning to social media to kind of trash talk before the game, which is fun. It's all fun as long as they keep it clean and respectful, which most accounts have. Poland and Hubbard. Hubbard's heard all week. Hey, TC Caffey, no problem. We held them in check last year. I feel like he'll be running very angry. He'll get those angry runs this week. It's going to be fun to watch him go.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's gonna be interesting to see what Poland is going to game plan for and how they're going to game plan for TC Caffey, because if you're game planning him the same way you game planned him last year, that's just not going to work out. I don't think he's bigger, he's stronger, and I even say he might be a little bit faster too. He did not skip out on the offseason work. It looks like he's been putting in a ton of work on the offseason, had tremendous growth too, as far as just muscular wise in the offseason. He's stronger now. He's harder to bring down, and that's going to pose a problem for the Poland defense. But what's also going to pose a problem is that now all of a sudden they have to play in front of a Hubbard crowd, where you got to remember that 28-0 victory came in front of Poland, and we know how strong the Poland faithful are and how easy it is to win being a Poland Bulldog and being home when you have that crowd behind you. But now you're going to another loud and rambunctious crowd in the Hubbard Eagles, and you're going to have to try to figure something out facing them. And the Hubbard Eagles, not only do they have a tremendous fan support behind them, but overall they're going to be loud. They're going to be making things shake, and they also have Jamie and Romo calling them, and that's also a pretty big advantage.
I think the game plan from last year doesn't change. The execution just gets a lot harder, because last year, this year, it doesn't matter. I mean, the first thing you have to do with Hubbard is shut down TC Caffey, and if you do that, you got a heck of a chance to win. It's just a lot harder than it was last year, and it was hard last year. TC Caffey beat a lot of people, but it gets a little bit harder this year because he's running on a completely different level.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? TC Caffey is, like you said, running on a different level, and it's going to pose an issue for Poland's defense, because it's not going to come as easy as it did last year. I don't think so at all. And you also hinted at it too. TC is going to be running with a purpose, because he's angry about how last year turned out, and he's angry about how they held him in check, and he has something to say about it.
And you look at the other side, and you brought up Jack Fulton, and I think Jack Fulton needs to be talked about more and more and more. The kid just outworks almost everybody every time they play somebody. He's a great leader on the field. He makes plays with his legs, can make plays with his arm when he has to. Jack Fulton is in my opinion, one of the highlight players in this stacked NE8, and he's going to have a big day if Poland wants to win this game.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I think, what the biggest thing for Jack Fulton and what we're seeing from him is that, you talk about the leadership, and I think that's come down to it, but it's also just the football IQ. Very smart too at the quarterback position. Taking a little bit of time, of course, adjusting to it. It's not an easy adjustment to play, even coming in from season to season. I mean, you're talking about first-year starters, and then you talk about going from season to season, especially with the way last year was, and you have rust and everything. You got to shake that off. But you know what? Jack Fulton, very smart guy at the quarterback position. He's not one that's going to just throw the ball just to throw it for the sake of throwing it. He's going to make smart passes, and he's not going to make those dangerous ones that have the risk of turning the ball over, because he's smart in that aspect, in that he'd rather just throw an incompletion than give it to you. And he's going to play smart football, and he's going to play in favor of his defense, because he knows even if we do bring up fourth down and we have to punt it away, hey, let's pin him back, because our defense can pretty much get us the ball back at that point.
You know what excites me? At some point, Christian Colosimo and TC Caffey are going to collide. And that might be like the old adage when a god claps and the two hands connect, it creates like a huge cosmic explosion. We have an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object when TC Caffey hits Christian Colosimo. The first time it happened, it's going to happen early. I'm looking forward to those two just locking horns and going at it.
Come on, Coach Pavlansky. Make him the spy. Have him spy TC Caffey. We want Colosimo and Caffey all night long. That's the matchup I want to see, and I want to see it a lot on Friday night, because that's just power going against power, brute strength against brute strength. Something's got to give when those two collide.
And that's like if you could have a mic'd up version, I'd want both of those guys mic'd up, not because they hear what they say, but to hear that collision, because there's nothing quite like the sound of pads knocking in football, and that's going to be a really hard, really physical collision when those two hit each other. So very much looking forward to that. Maybe it'll be so loud our mics will still pick it up on YSN.
It very well might. It might echo throughout the entire stadium over there at Hubbard. And you know what? That might not just go for Coliseum and Caffey. That'll go for both teams, as both teams are going to be hitting very hard because that's just their style of play. So it's a car wreck waiting to happen on Friday night, and we're lucky enough to have it on the network.
What a week one opener in the NE8. And we talked about the NE8 a lot. A lot of good teams. Only one team is winless in the NE8. And they're going to have to beat each other up, and they're going to start that this week. Hubbard and Poland squaring off against each other in a Hubbard. Jamie and Romo will have the call for you there. You look at some other, matchups, and I really one of the ones that we have to preview because it's actually we have to quickly preview. We're going to let Primetime take care of most of it, but we want to still talk about it and give it its due. Beaver Local, East Liverpool, the game. It's where Primetime is setting up right now. It's where they'll be from 4 to 5. I'm sure Michael McKenzie will be talking. Both Mike McKenzies, actually, will probably be talking on that show. Man, the rivalry, the matchup, it's called the game. It's just the game. Wow. What do you think about this one?
I think, it's obviously going to be a huge game for both teams. As you know, it's East Liverpool and Beaver Local. Not much more needs to be said outside of that. I think the biggest thing, though, for Beaver Local is that, coming off of that win, they're coming into this season now 1-2, a little bit disappointing in what their I think their overall expectations were to begin the season, and I think they expected to be sitting in a little bit better position, but nonetheless, that is their position right now, and it's still not a position. It's a position that they could get out of. Same thing, though, same breath. So is East Liverpool, after unfortunately coming away with a loss against Salem. But you're looking at two teams that right now are both 1-2, and both of these teams kind of needing that victory to get over the hump and get themselves back even at 2-2 and really set themselves up for a nice playoff run, or set themselves up to at least make a run at a playoff run, or a playoff spot, I should say. But you look at the team that loses now, all of a sudden you're 1-3. So not only are you beating your rivals, you're really putting them in a deep hole at 1-3 that they have to try to dig themselves out of. Because now you're looking at, for both these teams, you figure about 6 wins should be enough to get you into the playoffs. 7 is definitely going to be comfortable, but you got to remember, whoever loses this one, you have to win out to get 7 then. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I don't want to talk too much on it. I don't want to go in depth on the players because that's what they're going to do. That's what Primetime's going to do. That's what Mikey McKenzie's going to do. And that's what those guys are going to talk about. I don't want to get too in depth for it, but I will say this is a must-win game, I think, for both teams.
Perfect lead into YSN Primetime again, 4 to 5. Live from Beaver Local. They'll be there, DJ and the boys. They're also having Power Hour live from Beaver Local as well. So that'll be 3 to 4, 4 to 5. You don't want to miss that at all. We've had really good prime times our first 3 weeks, and we expect nothing less here tonight at Beaver Local. Canfield making that road trip that we've been talking about since week 1. And we had Mike Pavlansky on the show back before the season. He brought up this road trip. He said it's going to be big to get his kids acclimated to the inevitable road trip they will have to make if they make a deep playoff run. Here it comes, New Philadelphia, over an hour and a half away. And Canfield's going to have a lot on their plate when they go and face New Philly.
Yeah, it's another one of those battles of 2-1 teams, and it's going to be another interesting one because, of course, we know New Philadelphia beating both Marietta, beating Butchell this year, Akron Butchell. Their one loss against the Steubenville Big Red, and the Steubenville Big Red are definitely reloaded this year from last year, and they're going to be another one of those scary teams. But a big loss to the Steubenville Big Red for New Philadelphia. Of course, we know on the other side for Campfield side of things, we know them 2-1 with their one loss coming in that heartbreaker where they got a touchdown called back against Dover. So now you're looking at Campfield, who came into last week very upset, and you saw that, and you saw them refocus after that. So I think this is the biggest thing for Campfield going into this game after this long road trip, is just to stay focused. And if Campfield can stay focused like we've been able to see them do this season, I think they have no problem beating this New Philadelphia team. They did very well against Cleveland JFK, responding after that loss to Dover. Let's see if they could keep that same energy, that same mentality, that same drive going into this one. I think if they are able to do that, and if they're able to do so, I think they have a very good chance at coming away victorious against New Philadelphia. But if they let New Philadelphia hang around, kind of like they let Dover hang around, it might spell issues for Campfield. And it's going to be a situation where Campfield, they're going to need to, I think, stomp out the New Philadelphia immediately. You're going to have to pressure your foot on the head proverbially, and you got to get that win. You got to go out there, you got to get points on the board, you got to put them up quickly. And I think the biggest thing for the Cardinals, it's just going to come down to Brock Lowry, the guy behind center, the guy that makes everything go on offense. If he's chugging along and he's accurate and he's hitting his spots like he usually does, and if he's able to keep plays alive, break out of the pocket, and that offensive line gives him just enough time, this is going to be a Campfield team that I think has no problem beating this New Philadelphia team.
And, Mike Crawford's going to come up big too. I mean, running back, linebacker, senior. We talked to him. Well, Richie Giuliano talked to him yesterday as part of his player profile. You can find that on ysnlive.com. And our YouTube page, by the way, want to take that time to tell you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All of our interviews and video content goes up on there, including our show, with you can go back and watch any day on our YouTube page. So make sure to go subscribe to YSN on YouTube. But Mike Crawford's going to come up big in this game, playing both sides of the ball.
Yeah, he's definitely going to come up big in this game, and I think for them to stop the Quakers of New Philadelphia, that is, no, not our Salem Quakers, for them to stop the Quakers of New Philadelphia, they're going to need to play solid defense up front too. And if Toby Smith is getting through that offensive line and getting pressure, I think they're going to be just fine. And when they are able to get pressure on the opposing quarterback, Campfield finds a lot of success. And part of the reason why Campfield was so good at defense last year is because they are able to get pressure on that quarterback. When they create that pressure and when they be able to get that penetration up front in that offensive line, they find so much success on defense, and that defense eventually translates to offense, because if you're giving Brock Lowry more possessions, you're putting yourself in a fantastic position to win.
One more game I want to talk about before we kind of end our Thursday previews. Springfield, Lowville, battle of two high-flying quarterbacks. Springfield put together their offense in week 3. They look like they've found something out after struggling in weeks 1 and 2. Everyone knows Vinny Malone, my cousin, not my cousin Vinny, but still Vinny Malone. Man, what a matchup between two really big quarterbacks and two explosive offenses down in Lowville.
This is a heck of a week here, week 4 for us and for all of high school football in Ohio right now. I don't think we have seen this many big matchups since week 1 of the season. When we talked about Springfield South Range, we talked about Campfield Poland. Yeah, those were big matchups, but we're looking around Garfield LeBray, Fitch Ursuline, Springfield Lowville. There is so many great matchups this week. Of course, we know outside of our coverage a little bit, we just talked about Campfield, New Philly, but there's so many great matchups overall. And this goes no further, because you got Brungard versus Boulogne. And this is going to be a fun game where you're, again, I think, going to see, just like the Ursuline Fitch game, 400 yards combined passing, I think, because Vinny Ballone's going to throw. And that's the thing. And a lot of teams know that, because they've been flat out saying all season long, Vinny Ballone's going to be throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game. We have no problem with him doing that. Teams know this, and they still can't game plan for a passing offense of Vinny Balone. He's still been able to make all the noise this season. And boy, noise he has made, because Louisville has been wildly successful. And they're one of those teams I said was a dark horse team that kind of was around even last year, but they have that opportunity to make that big jump. And boy, are they ever, because Vinny Ballone having a fantastic season. It's going to come down, though, to the quarterback play. It's going to be just like Fitch and Ursuline, because when it comes down to it, your defenses are the biggest thing, but the defense goes up against who? The quarterback, because the quarterback is going to have the ball in his hands for the majority of the time. It's whoever gets the better game against Brungard or Ballone, but it's going to come down. Those are the keys to victory on both teams. It's Ballone, it's Brungard. I'm excited for this matchup, though.
Of course, Ballone and Brungard are two big keys. But I'm also looking at Louisville's ability to stop the run, because Springfield has a good run game. Brungard can run pretty well. You got to imagine a part of their game plan is going to be establishing the run and ball control, keeping the ball away from Vinny Ballone if they can. So if Louisville can especially win first down on that defensive line, might do wonders in stopping the Springfield offense.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think it comes down to with Louisville, and I think the part where they might have the most success against Springfield's offense is the fact that Louisville has a very, very strong linebacker core. And you're talking about Brady Banofsky, Matt Lucido, the other Lucido too, Anthony Lucido on the defensive line, but Matt Lucido, Vinny Lago, and another one I think is escaping me, Tino Rivera Ocasio too, the other one. So you're looking at 4 linebackers all throughout different ages. Lucido, the youngest, being a sophomore, but then juniors and seniors mixed in. 4 very good, very sizable, very quick linebackers that all do different things, and they're interchange. Sometimes they run the 3-4, sometimes they run a 4-3. But typically, if they're running 4 linebackers, one of them you got to figure is going to be spying Brungard, because you almost have to have one of them spy Brungard. And if you're going to do any of them, I'm going to look at either Vinny Laco, because he's one of your seniors on this line, or you're looking at Brady Banofsky, because Banofsky's just been absolutely stellar this year. If this linebacking core, you're not going to stop Bo Brungard. You're not going to stop him from running the ball. He's going to get yards on you with his feet. But if you can stop the chunk plays, if you could stop Bo from getting those 40-yard runs, hell, even those 20-yard runs, if you could keep him within the chains, you have a great chance at beating the Springfield team.
Against Geneva, Bo Brungard had 2 touchdown runs that were 75 yards plus. That can't happen. You can't have Springfield grab momentum like that. You can't swing momentum.
No, you can't. And you know what? On the other side of things for Springfield's defense, it's again, this might be the biggest thing for Louisville. Yes, we know that Louisville has flat out said that they're going to be throwing the ball a lot, and you should expect it. Springfield, though, it's a different animal now. I mean, yeah, you faced some tougher teams. Columbiana that week 1 was a huge victory, I think, for Louisville. But this is definitely the best team you faced this season. This is the state runner-up of the last 2 years. You're not going to find the same success in the same areas that you found against these other teams, because these teams Springfield's going to have you scouted, and they're going to have preparation for it. You're going to have to find a different way to beat the Springfield Tigers. Maybe not a different way entirely. Maybe you stick with the game plan, but you're going to have to get creative trying to beat the Springfield Tigers, because they're going to have you scouted. And you got to also remember the one big thing. We talk about Bo Brungard, and you don't know Bo. He also plays defensive back. So he's going to be on that top wide receiver. He's going to be scouting Ballone, and you might even see him grab a pick or two when he does play defense. But also, you're looking at some of these. Joe Sandine too at defensive back, is Nick Slike, another one, and then obviously too Bo Snyder too. We're still looking at that Bo as well, but Bo Snyder at linebacker, because he could play in the pass coverage as well. These are the 3 guys. You're looking at the secondary, and you're looking at Snyder because he could play that pass coverage at linebacker, and that's going to be dynamic, having that guy in that second line, even if he's just staying in front of Ballone, spying him. Just that might be huge as well. But I think that defensive secondary is going to be huge, and you're going to see Bo Brungard versus Vinny Ballone on the defensive side, because Bo also plays defensive back.
By the way, Mr. Schneider, don't think we forgot. We're keeping an eye on that girls' soccer student section because we have not forgot that you are in charge of that. So we are still keeping an eye on how you're doing in that category. Don't slip up.
Yeah, don't slip up at all. But I mean, I think when you talk about slipping up, though, that's going to be the key, I think, to this game. Whichever team slips up first, I think you'll see whoever wins the turnover battle wins this game.
Yeah, turnovers are going to come up big. Like I said, I think Lowville's ability to stop the run, especially on first down. You get Springfield behind the chains on second down, make it 2nd and 10, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 11, even 2nd and 9 or 2nd and 8. You put them in bad situations. Still a very young offensive line, very new offensive line. Put them in as many adverse situations as possible where you can start to pin your ears back and try to get to Bo Brungard, because we saw South Range do it. We saw Brookfield do it. You put that offensive line in some bad situations, you might be able to get through.
You very well might. And you know what? It's going to come down to you just can't let chunk plays on either side for defense. And we talked already about Lowville not allowing those big chunk plays with Bo Brungard's legs. But if you're Springfield, defensively, you have to be looking at limiting Vinny Ballone getting those chunk plays on you, because you remember this guy can pass and he has a cannon for an arm, so he can rattle off those 30, 40-yard passes on you, and he has some great receivers that he could even pass short and they could do some work on you. So I think, again, on the other side for Springfield, what we did see too in their one loss this season against South Range was able to get those big chunk plays on them. Not many teams have been able to have as much success against them since South Range, but we've seen, and it's been proven, if you can get those chunk plays against Springfield, you can beat them. And I think it's big for Springfield to also, on the other side, limit those chunk plays from Ballone and not let him get that extra time in the pocket and get those looks downfield, because if he has that extra time in the pocket, he's going to make you pay.
Yeah, for sure. We're looking forward to all of our matchups in week 4. Remember that tomorrow we will be picking every matchup as we do on every Friday, and Ty will be in the studio. We'll pick each matchup that involves every team on that wall, and so you don't want to miss that. Want to take this time to promote a programming note. We broke the news yesterday, but we want to keep pushing it for new viewers or people that missed yesterday's show. Starting on Monday, Running Point will move from 12 to 3 to 12 to 2. And we're doing this to make room for some new voices on YSN, as Alec Coburna and Matt Morrison will be joining the slate of programs with the Casual Sports Podcast from 2 to 3.
Yeah, excited to bring a little bit different voice and a little bit tonality from what you actually see at Running Point and Power Hour, where we have our own different flavor here at each show, and we're going to get a little bit different, and it's going to be a little bit more casual there too with Alec and Matt. So exciting to see what they have to offer on Monday.
Content's not going to change, format's not going to change. We're just going to be squeezing it into 2 hours instead of 3. Which it's good for the program. It's good for the brand, and it's great for our company that we get to highlight some new voices and have a little bit more diversity in how opinions are formed and how they're expressed. We talked about Alec yesterday. He's got a voice that was just built for broadcasting. You can't teach it; it's there.
Yep, and it'll be exciting just to get some more views, more opinions, and more voices here on the network too. As we're exciting as it's another huge step for YSN, adding another show to our lineup. So we're very excited for it.
So that will start on Monday once again. Running Point 12 to 2, Casual Sports Podcast from 2 to 3, and then Power Hour will have you covered 3 to 4. So YSN will still dominate your streaming from 12 to 4, but now new voices, 3 shows instead of 2. We could not be more excited for that.
I mean, you want to talk about dominating too. Let's talk about the voting polls that are up right now on the Big Dogs of the Valley on ysnlive.com. Over 41,000 votes have already been cast, and 27,000 of those for the volleyball big dog of the week. Get out there and vote. Football, you're falling behind right now. We got 5 solid players there, 14,000 votes. You got some catching up to do. Volleyball showing up huge right now, but still impressive. 41,000 combined votes for the 2 big dogs of the Valley. Get out there and vote. You have until Saturday to do so.
Yeah, and just to remind people who's up for it, in volleyball, Tara Lytle from Lakeview, Lauren Pallone from Gerard. You have Abby Householder from Canfield, Maya Lee from East Palestine, and Sammy Kelly from Lowville. On the football side, for this week's nominees, Brady Shannon from Ursuline, DJ Williams from Fitch. Those 2 going up against each other in week 4. Aiden Stevens from LeBray, Vinny Malone from Lowville. You have Drew DeShields from West Branch, and Mr. TC Caffey from Hubbard. So those are your nominees for week 1. Like Ty said, voting is unlimited. It ends Saturday at midnight. So make sure you have maybe I'm not going to do the math. You have over 2 days. You have over 2 days. All right.
You have 2 days and some change, about 2 days, 9 hours, 36 minutes left to vote right now for the big dogs of the Valley. So get out there and vote. I'd love to see that enter into the 100,000s combined votes, and I think you guys can do it. We're already at 41,000. Hey, a couple days out. Friday's football night. So remember, go out there and vote for your favorite guys, as all 5 of those teams, I believe we have all 5 of them on the slate playing on Friday. Yeah, we have Ursuline, we have Fitch, we have LeBray, Lowville, West Branch, and Hubbard. Yep. So all of them, all 6, I should say, of the football players that are on the docket play Friday night. So, hey, before the game, get out there, vote for your guy, and get those votes, get those polls up, because your guy, first big dogs of the year.
We are going to get out of here a little early today for a couple of reasons. One, to give time for the power hour and the prime time to set up in Beaver Local and get everything squared away. But also, Ty, you got some student obligations again. You got to go to work. You got to go to work. So
unfortunately today, we'll be back full time tomorrow though. Don't worry.
Before we let you go and before we wrap up the show, we do have a couple of more results that came in while we were on the air from last night. East Palestine, definition of domination against the Urban Academy of Urban Scholars. Sweep, they swept them 25-3, 25-2, 25-1, and it was a record-setting night for Sophia Foster. She had 18 aces on the night. That is a school record at East Palestine. Also 31 points total. You look at Gia Pristelli, 26 points, 17 aces. A lot of aces for the Bulldogs. Wow.
18 aces by a single player. You understand the magnitude? She almost won a whole game by serving. She almost won a whole set by just serving the ball. That is absolutely insane. 18 aces.
Her and her teammate did. 18.
Yeah, they combined. 17, you said, on the other one?
Yeah, I don't know if that was.
You have the school record, and you had a runner-up just there in the same night. And that 35 aces in the night. You won a set.
Wow, that's
incredible. Incredible. Keep an eye on East Palestine volleyball, folks. That is an incredible night. Wish I was in attendance for it, because that must have been something to witness.
Maya Lee, the nominee for Big Dog of the Valley, 3 kills for her. East Palestine is 5-2, and they will face Southern on Tuesday. One more result from last night. Beaver Local gets the 4-set win over Hubbard, 25-14, 24-26, 25-18, 25-18. The Beavers, they struggled to get things going early. The Eagles got the second set to even things up, but look at Grace Hill on the night, 17 kills for the Beavers. Brooke Talbot contributed as well, 9 kills, 11 assists for her. You look at some other players for the Beavers that did well. Emma Joseph, 15 assists. and they had a good night. Beaver Local is 6-1, and they will look to gain consistency as they will play Harrison Central tonight. So Beaver Local gets to win over Hubbard in 4 sets, and East Palestine, they sweep away the Academy of Urban Scholars in straight sets. Very dominating fashion, 35 combined aces, 18 in a match. That is a school record for Sophia Foster.
Huge night of volleyball as a couple of school records have been broken and shattered as this fantastic season continues, and Beaver Local with another great response, as you know they weren't going to be held down for too long.
So we'll take a commercial break. Ty, you got to go. I'll come back to wrap up the show and preview what we'll have on the network tonight as far as games go. Don't go anywhere. Running Point on YSN Live, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
It's a new year at Acura of Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi with huge savings on over 350 fully inspected vehicles. We have cars, trucks, SUVs, minivans, and work vehicles. We don't have it, our team will find it. We aim for 100% credit approval with payments as low as $99 per month. And as always, we'll pay top dollar for your trade. For a great vehicle and a great experience, come see why everyone is stopping by at Acura Boardman and Boardman Mitsubishi.
60 years ago, Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods began with 3 siblings, a hand-set sawmill, and a few local orders. And while business has certainly changed over the years, what has not are our principles of hard work, craftsmanship, and commitment to quality. At Baird Brothers, we're proud to put our name on the products we create, from moldings and doors to flooring and lumber. Thank you for 60 great years. We look forward to 60 more. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
You're looking to your future, preparing for your goals, and they're closer than you think. Because here, success is part of the plan. It's a place where academic and social opportunities are meant to prepare you for life, not just the next 4 years. You'll be equipped to face new challenges and turn hard work into a career. You're ready for your success to take root. And here's where it starts. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford. Choose a new Ford or from our great selection of pre-owned vehicles. Plus, you'll get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours. Customer-focused, community-driven. Tri-State Ford, East Liverpool, or visit tristateford.net.
New things happen all day. Some are good, some not so good. In today's complicated world, while you're busy working, playing, and living life, we're busy helping you make sense of the day's news. And there's only one place where it comes together with clarity, context, and accountability. It's 21 News at 6 with me, Madison Tromler, and Derek Steyer.
21 News at 6. It's what the day's news really means to you.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring. And, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
At Greenwood Chevrolet, shop with confidence knowing we're ready to go the extra mile for you. With the largest selection of used vehicles in the Valley, backed by the Greenwood Advantage Warranty. Every one of our vehicles has undergone our own 126-point inspection, so it passes the most important inspection, yours. No other dealership has the extra inventory, gives you extra for your trade, and goes the extra mile for you. Only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of Running Point on YSNLive.com. Anthony Hartwig with you to wrap up today's show. As Ty Bartell left to do some scholarly duties at Kent State. He's got some classes to attend. Before we get out of here, I want to preview what's going to be on the network tonight as we have the Power Hour at 3 to 4 live from Beaver Local. And then also live from Beaver Local, you have the YSN Primetime, where we will dive into that Beaver Local East Liverpool matchup, talk to announcers, talk to coaches, and we'll also preview all the other games on week 4 tomorrow night. So don't miss YSN Primetime from 4 to 5 live from Beaver Local. As far as volleyball tonight goes, I will be in Hubbard. The Eagles will be hosting South Range. I will be there. Other games that are being played tonight, you look at Badger will be at Ursuline. Jackson Milton going to Waterloo. Camel will be at Liberty. Champion going to LeBray. Lisbon going to Valley Christian. Newton Falls will be at Brookfield. Fitch will be hosting Warren Harding, and Niles will be at Poland. And those are the games going on volleyball-wise. Reminder that Crestview versus Garrettsville Garfield, highly anticipated matchup between two undefeated teams, that is canceled because of COVID protocol in Crestview's program. So no game in Garrettsville tonight. For soccer, you have boys Champion going to Waterloo. You have girls, Valley Christian going to Columbiana. You have boys, Garrettsville Garfield going to Brookfield. You will have Hubbard boys going to Jefferson. You have LeBray going to Middle Ridge, and Austintown Fitch boys will be hosting Warren Harding. So the Harding volleyball and soccer team both making trips to Austintown to take on the Falcons, and that is what is on the docket tonight. So to recap, Power Hour 3 to 4, Prime Time 4 to 5, Hubbard at hosting South Range 7 o'clock ish. So we have you covered all night. We own the night on Thursday, and then tomorrow, obviously, the full slate of games. On the show tomorrow, me and Ty will go through every matchup on the network and every matchup that involves teams on our wall. Of course, we're not going to be everywhere. There are some away games we can't get to. We'll still pick them. We'll still preview them. It will be a Pick 'em Friday tomorrow from 12 to 3 on Running Point. It'll also be the last time that you see me and Ty from 12 to 3 as we will move to 12 to 2 starting Monday. So make sure to join us tomorrow, 12 to 3 here on YSNLive.com. Until then, we're taking a 21-hour break. We'll be back. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next time.